I had started drinking in the day. So I went for a walk. The problem is that my alcohol level got too high, and I was sort of hanging out on a hill, sitting in a vacant lot, just singing away and making noise. And I ended up in Hoag Hospital in a diaper, not knowing where I was. That's pretty close to bottom as I could ever get.
That's a hard image to comprehend, Lee. I mean, Lee Steinberg and a diaper.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I never listen, I'm gonna listen. I wanna listen to the drums.
Oh, this whole thing?
Just close to bottom.
Yeah, no, I would have liked to have heard him describe how it would have gotten.
Why are we looking at Jake's crotch? Okay.
How it would have gotten.
Again, back to it.
More.
We're trying to get more subs.
Oh, why is it not working?
Oh, yeah, in SFW.
Jake has the best junk on the program.
What would have been more to the bottom? And also, he didn't have to include that diaper detail.
But if he didn't, would we be playing that today?
Probably not.
He was just sitting there drunk? Huh, all right.
Oh, you went to rehab? Okay.
Who doesn't do that?
You're right, but
if they throw you in a diaper.
He's Patrick Mahomes' agent to this day.
If you're listening to us just via the audio medium, that's my first love, so welcome. Appreciate you. But I will let you know, this is also going to be a video today. We are putting it out.
Is it a vlog?
Yeah. No. It's a vodcast.
A vodcast, okay. Is it a Quibi?
Man, remember Quibi?
Yeah, we got really obsessed with it for a month.
Well, it was cool. You got to watch the movie One Way Portrait and Another Landscape.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They raised $1 billion for stuff you could only play on your phone.
That's a great idea.
What's this hat?
Well, I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
But I have to take care of other bits. So we got a video today. And for those on video, they will see the grand entrance. And you will hear in a moment as well, just for those listening. We'd like to welcome in Ted Emmerich into the Dragon Den here.
Wow.
Look at him.
We quad boxed him.
Podcast world.
Yes. You guys must be really starving for content if you're inviting me to the den, but I appreciate it.
No, I'll tell you what actually happened is we saw this Carissa Thompson news and we thought, is there anybody we could get in trouble who works for a big media company by inviting them on a podcast?
I was watching UNT Tulsa the other day.
Oh, I'm sure you were.
And so they're about to come out of break in the fourth quarter. What a game. What a contest.
Back and forth.
UNT took care of business in the end.
They did.
So here, I'll just take you to break, listening
Best
to break.
stories in sports.
And then we're going to come out of break in a second, and I'm going to hear Ted Emmerich.
Live sports.
ESPN Plus.
Well, if you're a Mean Green fan, you're probably like, it's good to see UNT finally play some defense. This has been uncharacteristic here in the second half. They're shutting Tulsa out.
Yeah, but this drive now, 2 first downs, and I want to see North.
Who's your color commentator there?
Adam Brenneman, former Penn State and UMass tight end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of him.
No thumb relation?
What's that?
No thumb relation? You said Brenneman.
No, actually, different spelling. No, it's funny. I never thought about that. Different spelling. No,
Marty. I mean, I would have not
grandson?
thought about it because I've never seen Marty or Thom in person, but they don't strike me as the type of people who come from D1 tight end
Well,
stock.
once he said former player, then I was like, oh, okay. But I wonder if the name still helps, like running for office, if you're running, yeah. Well, anyway, the hat I'm wearing, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Because I actually have a little bit of viewer mail to bring you.
Hey, everybody! It's time to answer.
This is
some of
actual
today's
mail,
viewer
like.
mail.
Don't you think
printed it out?
Don't you think that sounds like Olaf?
A little bit. I've heard you say that before. Yeah, I mean, it's somebody who has the cartoon voice background.
Yeah. A lot of Olaf in my life, so.
Oh, don't I know it? We both do.
What's your kid seeing there, Ted?
She's about to be 7. She thinks she's a snow leopard half the time, so that's challenging. Nutcracker, ballet, all that kind of stuff.
Not a snow bunny? What's a snow bunny? That's just a...
I think it just means girls who go to ski mountains to ski and have sex with people. I think.
Need one of those.
That was an off-color comment from.
Yeah, my 7-year-old soon-to-be is not a snow bunny, Dan. But thank you. Appreciate that. Now read out your printed mail.
The great Ted Emmerich is from ESPN, from Westwood One, from the loins of Roger. Right?
Yeah, Nepo baby. That's me.
That's
Yes.
why we're having you on.
Yeah, of course.
Because I knew Roger.
I mean, that's the only way I got anywhere in life. It's great. You should try it.
So I got Dear Uncle Hotmail, Jake and
the
Blake.
guy first.
This was actually mailed to my house, and this is why I haven't done it yet, but I have priced out the UPS store mailbox. Should I do that and we promote it? Or will people just still send stuff here? Is it going to be a waste of money? It's like $30 a month type.
My guess is people would actually respect that.
Well, I think half of the fun for them is finding Dan's address on the internet.
It's very easy.
Very easy to do.
And flaunting that they found it.
Apparently it is easy. This is Dear Uncle Hotmail, Jake and Blake. Greetings from Portland, Maine. I thought I would...
Maine.
Where is it?
East. Way high right.
Down
if
east.
You're looking at the map.
High and right.
High right.
Okay.
Isn't it the highest, rightest state?
It's the highest and rightest.
Cadillac Mountain, right? Acadia National Park.
There's also another Portland in America.
And that's
left.
Yep.
Left and high, not as high.
High and left.
The Pacific Northwest.
But it's just overrun. Just so woke.
Oh, no doubt.
Woke with
There's
the
homeless everywhere.
Yeah.
Aren't they opening one of those donut places though here?
Voodoo, yes. Deep Ellum, right?
Yeah, either just opened or about to open.
Okay, that was pretty badass when I went there.
Now we need a Pals.
The greatest bookstore ever.
Don't they have
Pretty
to
An
pump
entire city block.
They have to pump their own gas now, right?
Yeah, they were the last holdout.
Yeah.
Anyway, O.J. McDougal says, I sent you supplies to get you through the brutal DFW winter. And I don't know what exactly he does, but he sent us this box. Here, pass this over. And one of these these are hats. He says it was the old Maine state flag.
Oh, check it out.
And additional supplies, some kind of drinking thing. You could open the bag if you want. And anyway.
Yeah, what's in the bag?
Like a cup?
No.
Oh.
It appears to be things you can drink. He says you can enjoy it straight or mixed in with another beverage.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know, but thanks. It seems odd. This is an odd...
Jake is putting all of them into his own bag immediately. What we got? Don't put that on camera.
I have an idea.
What do we got?
You're holding this below your camera.
Is it comedy?
Why don't you hand that back?
Zip it up.
Yeah.
I got to see.
Do we have comedy? What do we...
Let's just be careful.
This is below the camera. Okay. That's fun.
It's something we can't mention, is what you're saying.
I love the hat, and I thank OJ.
Okay.
That will get you through a winter.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to look. I did not look. I have not looked.
Okay. Yeah, we might have just
thanks for the hat.
added someone for a felony, but sure.
But it was a very odd... Oh, let me put on this hat, though, because I want to promote our...
Yeah, that's...
Oh, there you
that
go.
hat's
The,
awesome.
our merch
the
store.
hammer and sickle.
Do we have an announcement yet on the no puppet hat being for sale?
Let's wait until tomorrow, but it will be for sale. We just have to firm up the deets. This is a great state flag. Why would they have ever gone away from that? And honestly, if you told me this was Portland, Oregon state, or an Oregon state flag, like it looks like the Cascadia. Have you ever seen like a Cascadia flag?
No, but I've seen those trees.
Hell yeah, love trees.
That's awesome.
Also, so yesterday I was telling you about snail mail that we got.
I'll actually wear this.
Yeah.
Here at the Dragon Den. And it was a very large box, and it was when I got back from my Clemson trip. And so now my wife and my younger daughter were examining this box, wondering, what is this? Because it was addressed to Kathy Hotmail.
Yeah.
And my wife's name is Kathy.
And your given surname is Hotmail.
Okay, so I didn't see the return address. So I just, and they're trying to wonder what this is. And I said, well, I don't know. It could be related to me because they call me Uncle Hotmail. And they're like, why?
Now you have to explain this.
That's why I got to get out of this house. Man.
I know. You've never dealt with this before.
No. Because
I deal with this all the time.
I don't tell them anything about what I do.
I know.
What
They
goes
don't
on
listen.
on
They
the
don't
air.
listen. They don't have any idea.
Yeah,
you're
they
getting
never-
a taste of my life.
They don't know the features of Hotmail.
So now, they make fun of me because Hotmail's like an old thing. Well, what do you mean? I don't know. Stop talking. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about work at home. You know, I just want to make sweet love to my wife. So then I
Call me Unc Hottie.
So
Right.
this is for sure from a listener because now I look at the return address from Jacques Mehoff.
Yeah,
Great.
that would have been a
Classic.
If you needed more of a dead giveaway.
I did not note that. But then I told you I opened it, and it's this giant stuffed dog. And now this is my wife and daughter looking at this thing, and it had a tag around its neck that says this. And I go, I think that might be for me.
I still don't really get it, though.
Well, and then that's what they said.
Yeah.
So they demanded an explanation about Uncle Hotmail, and I gave them one, and they're like, well, what's this? I go, I don't know. DF, we're called the Dumb Zone and Dumb Fs. I had to tell them that.
That's a tough scene.
And they're going,
Yes.
well, what's the dog? And I go, I don't know. And they go, you know. You're just not saying. Like, do you ever get that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know the inside joke. Is it making fun of me? Is
Oh,
it?
yeah.
I don't understand. Is this in the frame? Because I'm not looking at the camera.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, if it looked like Kip or Bodie, that
Right.
would be one thing.
Yeah,
but
it's not a poodle.
It's a
Rottweiler.
totally different dog.
Totally
Two totally different dogs.
So,
I mean, it can go in this fantastical, magical studio we imagined one day, but I have no idea how that... Did we reference Rottweilers or something?
Right.
I don't recall.
Yeah. Always a dog I was afraid of.
Well, thanks, Jacques. That's cool.
I appreciate him putting a little European flair on it.
Also, a couple that came via Hotmail. I mean, I got literally a million, but a couple of interesting ones about people that listen. From Anna Kay, she says, a recent viewer mail was from a Dumb Zone listener named Kim who signed off Dumb V. I'm opposed to this greatly. No need for one to differentiate whether they are a man or a woman. I hate V1 instead of P1.
I think I was actually accidentally responsible for that.
Really?
Yeah. Offhand comment, Why Today Doesn't Suck one time. I don't even remember the context. You know, I was making a joke about penis one and vagina one, you see. And I don't like it either. I'm more of a dumb they. I like a dumb they.
What about Dumb C?
Maybe she'll go for that one.
Well, she says pussy is the original P anyway.
Ooh.
Dang.
Okay.
This is according to Anna. She says
I was going to go
listeners-
with Paul the Apostle being the original P.
She says, listeners better not start this S now. We have a clean slate. Let's keep it that way. Love you. And so she doesn't like Dumb V, and I'm cool. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, because the original, there's no connotation of male or female.
Correct.
Dumb F.
Right. That's a good point.
You know, P1, V1.
However-
That's stupid too, but this makes even less
Are we
sense.
embracing debate?
KW at Eagle Mountain Lake emailed to Hotmail. And he says, today I popped open a card envelope from E6 Sportswear thinking it was going to be a coupon or gift card of some sort. And lo and behold, it was a handwritten thank you card from all the fellas. First of all, you're very welcome. Content you provide, blah, 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 blah. Okay, good. Yeah, he's saying lots of nice stuff about us, which is great.
But he would rather have had a coupon.
He said, secondly, and I have gone over this before, I will never refer to myself as a DFer. While I enjoy the humor and self-deprecation as much as anyone else, I will never use that term. However, mob rules apply here. I'm surely in a tiny minority, so I will capitulate. when one of you three addresses me. Anyone else calls me that, and they're picking their teeth up off the ground.
Love that.
Okay.
I love that.
So
I can't really imagine a scenario where someone else would be calling you that. Like,
yeah.
I think you've gone a long way in the creating your own narrative. Like you're at the grocery store. You're at Eckerd's.
Hey,
D effort. I know it's you. I got a quick one that has a corresponding piece of audio. This is actually from the Patreon comments. And this is a case where I believe we owe Blake an apology, because yesterday we were discussing the problem we have in our shipping straits these days with orcas attacking boats. They've had enough. And there was a story in the New York Times about how some of them have gone to extreme methods to try to protect their shipping vessels, including playing heavy metal from underwater speakers. And the orcas are like, no, we don't like it. This actually just charges us up. Like
Master of Puppets is playing.
Yeah, like a high school football team running through a big inflatable helmet. And Blake had a really, really good joke in here that we missed.
Little motion.
That's not it, is it?
Oh, no.
They went with the
Not that one
Branch
yet.
Davidian / we'll get that, CIA move of trying to blast heavy metal from underwater speakers. Like, they're like, we're trying everything. And they didn't care.
Yeah, but
They're just rocking out.
listening to Disturbed would probably make me want to tip
Yeah,
the boat,
right.
too.
Now they're all C4'd up.
Yeah.
Attacking the boat.
You can play him some
what if they played
orchestra
them
or something.
other?
Okay, we don't even have to play the rest of it. Orchestra is a great line, but he issued it so meekly.
So wait, you meant that as orca?
Man, I missed it. I didn't even hear that yesterday when I was listening.
I just kind of
Did you mean
get ashamed
orca?
of myself.
Did you mean the pun?
Yeah, because I'm afraid, like, I think that's funny, but then
That's a great line.
But then that's very much a dad joke.
But listen,
and I know
I
that
don't
you
care.
guys hate
You're a
those,
dad.
No,
so I just wanna,
that's a good joke.
He tried to slip it under, right?
But he says it so meekly and feebly.
because
that-
I said it and
Now
immediately
that's all-
just what a boat
right.
too.
Now they're all
Don't you think
C4'd up.
meek
Yeah.
and feeble is
Attack-
Blake's
Yeah,
kind of
kinda.
thing?
But
Yeah.
listen to the issue. C4'd up.
Yeah,
Attacking the boat.
you can play him some
What if they played
orchestra
them
or something.
other?
Yeah, all I hear is Dan there
Something.
jumping in.
Please don't.
Blake's just receding into the background.
don't make fun of me.
If I would have thought of that in the moment, I would have been yelling at the two of you for not giving me my love. So, hey,
Well done.
Hey,
shout out to
thanks.
Blake. I wasn't really done with open stuff, but
Oh, really?
we'll get
What
to
else
it.
we got?
We'll get to
Moving
it
on
later.
now.
What else?
I wanted to tell you guys briefly about my night last night,
Okay.
but in a roundabout way, it's going to come up again in the news. Because last night, as I told you, I believe off the air, was our trip to the Grapevine. I believe it's called the Carol of Lights.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so,
Who'd you go with? Like
uh,
Mom, grandma,
everyone, 5, 6, 7 other couples. It's
Chappie?
No,
Oh.
no.
Grandma?
He lives an hour away. I think they were briefly down there because they have a store down there.
Yeah.
But downtown Grapevine, obviously, during this time you can go any day and there's a lot going on. It's the Christmas capital of the world.
Yeah.
But on this particular day, the entire main street is shut down. And on one end, down by the train station and the hotel and Harvest Hall, the food hall, they light the tree. And then you can make your way down Main Street back up to the other end. I guess that would be the north end. And there's fireworks. There's sledding hill. There's reindeer. Don't ask me to exactly explain what a reindeer is, by the way. Like, I don't...
So
I
you
think
got that question from your daughter.
Well, I grew up thinking they were not real. To be honest with you, like I'd never heard of the idea of a reindeer outside the context of Christmas.
Right.
Like I'd never heard of
Because they
that.
fly.
You know, I just
Red nose.
I just
right.
assumed it was some sort of mythical creature.
So
until
reindeer
you're like
are actually
15 or
like
16, and you're like, well, son of a bitch. They got
There's a thing called reindeer,
yeah.
but it's not deer.
No, I believe it's probably from the deer family, but I have no idea what it is. I honestly don't know.
What
Like
makes a reindeer a deer? Or different?
And are they bred to be that way?
Just a deer that's running through the yard. What's different about a reindeer?
They definitely look very different, but I don't know how they be. Anyways.
The reindeer or caribou is a species of deer
Okay.
with circumpolar distribution, native to Arctic, subarctic tundra, and mountainous regions of northern Europe, Siberia, and North America.
Okay. If you're just going to tell me it's a caribou, because they do look very similar. They're a lot bigger than your garden variety deer. But they have all that stuff. You can do Santa photos, everything like that. So we're down at the inn by the train station in Harvest Hall. Mistake number one. That's a great place. I'm glad it's there. It can be a tremendous beating when it's really crowded. Like, off the charts beating.
Yeah.
And so we started down there because that's where the tree was. So we did that at 6:30, and we're out on the street, still on the Harvest Hall side of the train tracks. They light the tree up.
So the tree's down there now? Didn't it used to be up higher?
They actually have two, but the one they do the big ceremony at is now down at Harvest Hall.
Okay, because
they have a skating rink there now. Yes, that's down there now. There is another tree up there. The ceremony one is down by Harvest Hall.
They have like a choreographed.
Okay. I found this on the web for his down by Harvest.
Shut up!
Check it out.
Shut up!
Why do you have that on?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, I'm so glad I was here for that.
All right, go ahead.
So we're out on the street. They light it up, and now we're like, all right, we're going to move down Main and do all the stuff, right? All the stuff I just mentioned, and we'll be down there when it's time for fireworks. Here's the problem. Because we're right on the other side of train tracks, which really only run about every 20 to 30 minutes, they close the gates, and they wouldn't let anyone through like 20 minutes before a train was coming just to be like extra cautious, I guess. So there's usually like there's a big fence, and there's like, I don't know, 8 panels of fencing put together, and they'll open one on each side, one for in, one for out. But they didn't open either one of them. But they didn't tell anybody this. So now we have...
So you're just standing down there?
Dude, like...
1,000 people are standing down there?
With strollers, screaming kids for 40 minutes.
Dang.
Awful.
And it is like nut to butt. And kids are going crazy. People just keep pressing because they have no idea that no one's getting through. And now you can't turn around and get out and try to go around some other way because there's no way to get through the crowd.
And like your cars are on the other side.
Well, we walked, but everyone, and it was, dude,
That's a pretty far walk for you guys, isn't it?
It's 15 minutes.
Okay.
I was having a panic attack. And people were getting upset, like shaking the thing. And the worst part about it is as this is all happening, and it was 40 minutes, like we just stood there as people pressed closer and closer and closer up behind us. And again, both kids, everybody's kids screaming. Like, why are we here?
Yeah.
Right next to that is this little mini ice rink they have, and there was like a figure skating thing to Christmas music happen.
So just the what would you call
the
it?
juxtaposition for sure. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
The horror movie
and
with
then
the rice.
When they opened them, people on the other side had been waiting to come through.
Oh no!
To get down to Harvest
now
Hall. Now people are just both trying to get in, both trying to get out on both sides, and it was an epic disaster.
Like it's going to be a Pearl Jam, what was it, Roskilde in 2000, the festival where people are getting trampled.
Yeah, it'll be the
soccer
story
sure.
of Grapevine. Man, what if Jake got crushed?
It was really bad, dude.
And
really
died.
bad.
Ugh.
There's nothing worse than just being stuck in one spot with your kids screaming. Like usually they scream and you're like, all right, I can
go.
Eject them from the situation and
right.
We'll make it right somehow. There's nothing we could do. We're out of food. They've already eaten everything we had because we've been standing there for 40
what if you
minutes.
had to go to the bathroom or something? What do you do?
I don't know.
There?
You were boxed in.
Boxed in.
Ugh.
And it was cold.
Yeah, it wasn't warm. Tensions were very high. across, and I'm like, somehow I'm blaming her and the kids for me being there. And she's like,
Of course
how
you
is
are,
this,
yeah.
how is this our
You
fault?
wouldn't be there if it wasn't for
Should
her.
be watching Eagles Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now you can play your silly little sports open.
Sports.
Wonderful world of sports. Yay, sports.
I was just going to mention a couple of sports items, and then we got some big audio for today. Let's see. I'm trying to look at the little run sheet here. You did want to talk about the Lakers fan injury.
Man.
I have that written down.
There's not much to say about it other than, just tough to imagine a more dramatic swing in your mental state than being like, I'm on the floor at Staples or Crypto or whatever they're calling it in front of all of my people and LeBron, and I have a chance to win $500,000, and now I'm going to hope I can get workers' comp for the next 9 months because I can't walk.
So it's...
And the embarrassment factor of it, too, I mean,
it's
that's
one of the two real funny in-arena videos that are going viral in these last 2 days. One is that, so he's at half court, right?
Yeah.
And just...
Yeah, I guess it was only 55,000, but still, yeah.
Trying to launch a half-court shot, does it, did not make the shot, and then, yes, tore his hamstring or whatever. Just lying on the ground. Did you see the other real funny viral thing? The T-shirt gun guy?
Yes, Iowa, right?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think at an Iowa
with a
basketball
mascot?
game.
Yeah, there's just
yeah.
there's this huge build-up, and they're
Right,
loading
here
up
we
the
go,
T-shirt
yeah.
gun, and yeah, then he shoots it.
So many ED jokes.
Yeah, I saw several, like me after 4 old fashions. Yeah.
We gotta send that to what's his name, Brian Curtis.
Would you guys ever
For
be
nice
interested in trying the half-court shot?
Yeah,
Like in front of all those people, though?
yeah. Aren't you a little showman? Come on.
Right, you throw your arms up, let's go, try to fire up the crowd, and
Oh yeah, I'd make it real big and then
Yeah.
fail
Just not-
spectacularly.
yes,
We used to
exactly.
laugh
Don't even hit the backboard.
We used to laugh so hard, Brian Damaris and myself, whenever we would do Mavs post-game because so the way they would do it, there were 2 ways. One way is like you do layup, free throw, three-pointer.
Mm-hmm.
Then, you can play the
At least you get a little warmed up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Right.
then once somebody's like bricking 5 straight layups, you're like, this was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
If you just put it all on one shot, then you don't have to worry about like everything being dead by the time
Right,
the
people
person gets
booing
there.
you and
Right.
But there was a particular sponsor, and I don't think it's foul of me to mention this, but they sponsored the half-court shot for probably 5 years at least. And they were in the audio-video game. And they had a big sale once a year called Expo Week. And they would have one of the owners of this particular audio-video place out there. And somebody would take their half-court shot, and they would miss it. And then this person would grab the mic from Chris Arnold, and they're like, I'll tell you what, give him another shot. It's Expo Week. And Brian and I are like,
the whole crowd would go nuts.
Redemption.
and the guy just miss again. But still, like the most exciting
But-
moment
so
was
every year he did that exact same thing.
every single year. Yeah. And like we knew it was coming every time, and we would just get so excited. I mean, the Mavericks were like winning like 19 games, 22 games or whatever at that point, and we'd get so excited for the Expo Week redemption, as Ted said.
I was a big fan of your halftime reviews.
Yeah, it was. I
Yeah.
love doing it, man. At one
Red
point,
Panda,
I'm pretty sure
number
I had
one.
all of them down. Like I'm pretty sure I'd seen the entire circuit at one
Yeah.
point.
Now
Quick
we're here with a
change.
guy that you could compete with. You guys can talk.
No, I mean we've both seen it because
Your
they
favorites.
travel the
Yeah.
same roads. They
Yeah, 'cause Ted,
the
you
NBA
do all the-
entertainment, they do college basketball games as well. So I mean, Red Panda's number one, right?
She's definitely like the GOAT.
Yeah.
I mean, she fell off at some point.
What about
Clearly.
Rubber
She's
Boy?
Very old. Dan always loved Rubber Boy.
The guy that can get through like a hanger.
Oh, I don't
You
think
ever
I've
see
seen.
Rubber
I haven't
Boy?
seen
Okay.
Rubber Boy.
It's
I've seen Quick
it's
Change
disgusting.
a bunch.
Rubber Boy's disgusting.
All right.
Okay.
This will be. I want to.
Like he's laying down in like Deshaun Watson happy baby pose,
Okay, you don't have to.
but his heels are like at his ears.
Rubber boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he can like fold himself into like this box.
Yeah.
And he like unfurls himself.
Great.
Yeah.
I was a Rubber Boy fan, but my favorite has been ridiculed by.
We
so
know.
My buddy who works for the Cavs can't stand my opinion here because he goes to every game, and so he sees.
He had me on his podcast solely because he knows I hate the act you love.
Just to make fun of me? That's why he had you on his podcast?
I believe so.
The Bucket Boys. I mean, all they have is buckets.
Yes.
And it's so entertaining.
You can literally go to any like busy metropolitan area on a Friday night, and there are four
they're
guys.
drumming away, and different buckets sound different.
It's just Blue Man Group without the makeup.
It's incredible.
The saxophone guy outside the arena is better than the bucket.
I totally
the
agree
Bucket
with Blake on
Boys.
that.
They've marketed themselves correctly, and
Because of the alliteration?
I don't know. I just need.
It's very descriptive. I tell you, and then we can move on. The only thing
They're boys.
the thing that
yes, they
right.
are.
The thing that would make it uncomfortable is I felt like I had a duty to the public. You know, I was going to review every one of them. I was at virtually every home game, and if I'm there, I'm doing it. But probably twice a year, they would have a local youth, as I remember, all female like dance school.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're. Yeah.
Come in and do their routines, and it would be, like the place that my kid goes. I'm sure you've done this. They have classes for 4 and 5 year olds, 6 and 7 year olds, 8, 9, 10 year olds, 11 and 12 year olds, and by the time you get up to like 11 and 12 year olds, it's basically Lil Jon and Ludacris, you know, and
bunch of whip cracks and all of that.
It's basically they're dancing like the Mavs dancers by the time they're in 7th or 8th grade, and
they're whoring it up.
The reality is, if you put 17,000 people in a building, there are a few pedophiles in there. It's just, it stands to reason that there are people that are like excited
Only logic
by
there, yeah.
But even if you leave that part out, I just felt like I had to review it and say this is uncomfortable. I don't think that we should be looking at this, and I give it an F. And invariably, someone whose kid went to the Lakewood dance studio or something.
How dare you?
Would DM me or respond me and say, like, they worked really hard on that. And I'm like, you saw the grade. It's an F.
Oh, you had to be.
Look, the grade's the grade. It made me so uncomfortable, dude. Like, we go from having dogs doing cartwheels to like a 12-year-old dancing to the window, to the wall. It's just like,
shaking their ass.
I just don't.
All of that. Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it, Dan.
Yeah, that's good that you don't. You
Yes.
shouldn't be all fired
Well,
up.
I mean,
about
no, it didn't seem like it. They got it approved somehow.
Yeah.
My sports note for you was that punting from plus 39 on 4th and 4 means you should lose a game. I don't know how locked in you were last night, but I was very upset by that.
Okay, where was that? Did Kansas City do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean plus 39?
Like they were
The
in
Eagles'
opponent's
39.
territory, and it's 4th and 4, and they punted, and I'm like, okay, that's it. You deserve to
They were
lose.
across the 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a really good kicker, too.
Yeah. And they were...
So wait, they were at the 39-yard line?
Yeah, they were down 17-14, I believe, at the time. Or maybe they were up 7. They were up 17-14 at the time. They punted the ball. Surprisingly, it was a touchback.
Okay, wait.
Yeah,
So
no
39
coffin corner there.
And Philadelphia scored like 6 plays later to take the
49,
lead
that's
that they never
56-yard
gave
field
back.
goal.
Yeah, and Butker can do that.
Yeah, they were in the elements.
But you also
again, you
have-
have the best quarterback in the world.
They almost converted a 4th and 25 at the end of the game to keep the game going, but had yet another drop. So
Yeah, why would he do that?
I'm just not punting on 4th and 4 in opponent territory in the
That's-
4th quarter. Like
that seems
drives
very
me
odd.
insane.
Fourth quarter or not, it seems like any time.
Yeah, and they do like the surrender index, like it ranked as like a 99th percentile cowardly punt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like one of the worst ever. You have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I feel like Andy Reid's not that guy.
Typically, he hasn't been, but they gave up a touchdown like I said 6 or 7 plays later to go down 21-17, and that was the final score.
That was a big win for Philly, man. just because you solidified your standing at the top of the NFC.
Yeah.
You know, you thought, all right, Cowboys have a real easy 3-game stretch. Philly, very difficult 3-game stretch. But, you know, the whole Andy Reid was 4-0 versus them before, you know, I don't know. I just think pretty significant win.
It is a pretty significant win. However, I will tell you, they did not look good. I was able to watch about second quarter on pretty closely, and they got their ass whipped up front. The Chiefs had no business losing that game. I mean, the drops that everyone's talking about, it was all night.
Dude, that last one was
right.
You know, I saw somebody say something about this on why they've gone so cheap at wide receiver, and everybody's criticizing their GM and criticizing Andy Reid and
yeah, I mean, you had the best one in the game.
Wanted $30 million, whatever it was, in an extension, and they didn't really replace him. But I saw somebody make the comparison that part of the reason the Patriots were able to stay good for so long is they never made moves where they're like, we just have to put everything into right now. And, like, if you think about it, the Patriots, obviously they had Gronk and at one point Aaron Hernandez, but they never really broke the bank for, like, long-term moves for wide receivers. I don't remember what Randy Moss's acquisition and contract was.
Couldn't have been that much coming off the Raiders disaster.
Exactly. That's right. So the point whoever this was making was like, I'm not saying it's right, but it would not have been smart for them to go give up a first and a second or something for Devontae Adams or to pay Tyreek Hill $32 million. Like, if you have Patrick Mahomes, you're always going to be in the mix. This year's especially bad. I'll give you that, but the way they're doing it is actually
the paying Tyreek Hill, though. You already had him.
Yeah, but
and now it's paying him.
He was like holding out, wasn't he?
Get creative about that. Yeah, I'm just saying that's a different animal than having to give up a bunch of stuff and then pay a guy.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
Other teams are doing.
However, and I think plenty of people had heard this. Like, I don't know, he might be a bit of a problem.
Tyreek?
Yeah. Like, I think he can probably get away with a lot more with Mike McDaniel and Tua than he can Andy Reid and Patrick.
But they have thrown 2 twos at that position group. Now, Sky Moore doesn't
Rice,
look...
Moore looks like
Rashi
a total
Rice.
bust. Rice is promising, but he's stuck in that rotation.
Kansas City now tied at the top of the AFC for the leading record. I don't know if they still own the tiebreaker as far as if the playoffs started today. I know you guys hate that, but
they'll be fine.
Do you see? Yeah, they do seem to be the Warriors of the NFL, that they'll turn it on when they need to. But have you seen teams who have scored more than Kansas City this year? Cleveland.
Wow.
Ooh.
Cleveland has the same record as Kansas City, and they've scored more points.
And they have the best defense.
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
What?
Chicago.
No.
Okay.
That's unreal.
This is a fake list.
And Washington have all scored more points.
That kind of makes sense. They've been in some shootouts, and they
Now, I will give you that Chicago and Washington have played one more game. But still.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I still would expect.
They've gone 3 games without scoring in the second half.
Yeah.
Dan, who you got in the flex this week? Your fantasy matchup.
You jerk.
We playing PPR?
We're going to be looking.
What's your waiver position
tonight? Oh, that's going to be important because
this is a big week. Everybody's got to get it in, you know.
Kenneth Walker III might be hurt.
Yeah, you got Charbonnet.
I might have to get. It's Charbonnet.
Zach Charbonnet.
There's no way he's available.
Yeah.
Well,
not in my league.
He used to be my backup, but then he didn't touch the ball for.
And he dropped.
And you cut him.
So I dropped him.
How do you guys feel about Black Friday NFL? I kind of hate it.
I think I love it. Oh. And I'm the guy who has always hated change.
It's not the change. It's that I just feel like that's a day for college football.
I always thought the same. Yeah, because Iron Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
has been that day. Then Texas A&M was always that day.
Are the gloves off regarding the NFL and respecting the NCAA
or high school or anything like that? Yeah, I think they've pretty much just.
They don't care.
Yeah,
they own whatever day of the week they're on.
It feels glorious though that you're going to have NFL football. They don't have it Saturday too, do they?
No.
No.
But yeah, 3 games Thursday, an afternoon game Friday.
I always
Even
think
if it's Jets Dolphins with Tim Boyle now starting for the Jets.
I don't
true.
like the Thursday night.
I don't like that either.
It's just too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Too much football on Thanksgiving.
I would agree. If anything, I would say you would punt the 11 or 11:30 game.
Detroit,
The
Yeah.
Lions.
or
Let
make it
them
a
play at night or something.
make it 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I would prefer that. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of good college football on Saturday, or excuse me, on Friday.
You guys ever go to the Cowboy game on Thanksgiving?
Did not.
No.
And I remember I would have a cousin, aunt, uncle, like show up at Thanksgiving at like 7:00, and they had just gone, and I would always be so jealous.
Yeah. I once drove. Well, actually, maybe it was when my mom was married to Dad 3 and lived in Detroit. We once went to a Browns Lions game on Thanksgiving Day. It was very cool.
It seems cool. You want to play some audio here, Blake? Or you
One
got
more
thing?
sports note. It's just that it came out yesterday that the Stars are going to build a statue for Mike Modano. And I don't know if... Do you think we could have had anything to do with this? Because I remember my buddy who goes to a ton of Stars games, texted me, like when the Dirk statue was put up, and he said, how does Modano not have one of these? And that's what got me thinking about the comps and what Modano meant to the city and the Stars and hockey and all in general. And it's funny too because I saw your editor, who's that, Mike Palucci, at D Magazine, seemed to be kind of against this, saying that Modano is not as worthy as Dirk. I saw him on Twitter just kind of giving an opinion that, Modano wasn't the leader that Dirk was and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think I agree with him at all. In fact, I might want to rip him. No, I just we could debate. But I feel like Mike Palucci or somebody with that opinion wasn't around when Mike Modano was first here in Dallas. And I wasn't around either. I didn't get here till 1999. But according to everybody, Mike Modano was so instrumental. When did they get here? 94? 95? Anyone know? Somewhere around there.
93, 94 season. Yeah,
Okay.
I wanna say.
But that was a huge deal for a Minnesota team to be coming into this, the heat of Texas. Like, it didn't make any sense, and why would hockey even survive here? And apparently Mike Modano was the spokesman and was anywhere he needed to be, just like Dirk. Dirk would always be great with the media, and if the Mavs, now if they need the City Edition jersey modeled, you think they're going to Kyrie or Luka? They're not. They're going to ask Dwight Powell or somebody that'll just say, okay, I'll do it. Mike Modano would do it, though. The superstar, clearly the best player on the ice all the time, and the most accommodating with the media and most accommodating with the fans and all that kind of stuff. Kind of did anything. The end was a little different than Dirk's end for sure. Modano wanted to end here, but hockey has a different culture than the NBA, and the fact that Modano, they would try to make an example of him and put him on the fourth line, and it was almost more embarrassing to him after all he had meant, and ended up, they just let him go. Joe Newendike was the GM, I believe, and just let him go. And, so I think Modano is way worthy of a statue, but I also think it kind of sucks that the Dallas Stars had to wait until Dirk's statue and then think about it. And I do know after my buddy texted me, we did a few segments on it, and we were the home of the Stars and all that, and I just wonder if that planted a seed.
I'll also add that it was big that he was American. Like, I know as a kid, like, you wanted to cheer for Team USA in the Olympics, and just growing up that we had one of the best American players on our local team was pretty awesome for me.
Yeah, I don't know if he wanted to do all that stuff, but he definitely did it, because I remember, I think I've told you this before, I got his autograph. He came to I used to do traveling roller hockey. Hey now.
Okay.
And he sat there for like 2 hours and did autographs for like every player there.
Which is amazing.
I was like
Wow.
9 or 10.
Wow.
You know, and he was like already a very big deal at that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was there for 10, 15 minutes. Like he was there what felt like the whole day. And he was young at that point too, you know. So he's probably thinking like, why do
Right.
I could be anywhere else right now on a Saturday in the summer.
And he never like made extra money for that. He never got any.
Yeah.
You know, he got the contract that you should get if you are that good of a player. But a lot of guys just wouldn't do that other stuff, and you know he would.
It's weird. It's kind of weird. Although I guess you could say this whenever we go to like Los Angeles. I think he's deserving. Although, as you know, I don't particularly care about these sorts of things. But it's just kind of weird because there's going to be a lot of people who walk by that are like, who is that?
The Modano?
Yeah. Where, like, when people go to Stars games, everyone's going to know who Dirk is. However, when we went to Staples
Give it 10 years.
/ Crypto the first time, that's true. The fact that Luke Robitaille is, like, next to Shaq, like, there's probably a lot of dudes who show up to Lakers games that are like, what? Like, they even played hockey here or play, like...
Right.
That's probably not a disqualifying factor.
Now, as the statues are going to be the pose of Modano, you know, hitting a slap shot or something, and 3 pucks
that look like
together,
beads.
anal pucks.
I think he's going to be holding up 3 different Stanley Cups.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's different sizes.
But
the very local overworked Twitter joke of the week was they need to take the statue out there on a stretcher and have it fall off.
That's a legendary Madonna
What's
thing. Do you know that
Mike
happened?
Modano?
No,
Fall
I've
off
never
a
heard
stretcher.
this.
Yeah, he
They
once
like
got
carted off the ice.
He was getting carted off because he got victim of a big hit, something like that. And yes, they were carrying him off in a stretcher, and they dropped him.
Aw. Huh. That sucks. I'll add, when I saw that he was getting a statue, I thought of you because that was talk, you know, when Jamie Benn did what he did against Vegas in the playoffs. It's like, oh, that's going to ruin his chance at a statue. And you were the first person to say, Mike Modano was way more deserving of a statue than Jamie Benn.
Way.
Yeah, that's not.
Agreed.
I didn't even think that was a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, or is that when it started? I don't know. I thought it was when Dirk's statue went up. But anyway, yeah. Now, we hand it all over to Blake.
So, I've been teasing this for a couple days, but Haralbos Voulgaris was on a podcast, and he was pretty open about his days with the Mavericks. And I know that name, you know, obviously makes a lot of sense to us because we were kind of infatuated with this gambler running the Mavericks for a little bit. But I know to most, like, you probably don't know his story. So, you know, Jake helped me through this, but he basically got the job because he was such a successful gambler in that he had built his own analytics models to where Cuban, trying to be forward-thinking, just wanted him to overhaul the analytics department.
Yeah, I think that's a decent way to put it. I mean, I know at some point they developed a relationship just being in the tech world, but Haralbos has some famous gambling wins. He was a Bill Simmons guest for a long time and a Zach Lowe guest for a long time before he ever worked for the Mavericks. And he'd won, I don't remember the number, but he won something like $5 to $10 million on like a Lakers loss. And was not shy to talk about it.
Damn.
Yeah, and I remember he won big when the Spurs, I guess, beat the Heat one year.
Yeah.
And he also lost big the following year when the Ray Allen shot.
But yeah, he would build.
Went in.
He was like a programmer too.
Okay, yeah.
And then he's, you know, he played poker. So yeah, he's a brilliant dude. Obviously,
That was the only thing that didn't really come up was how he got tied in with Cuban. So before we get to the Mavs stuff, I wanted to play kind of some of his background. And when he was growing up, his dad was a gambling addict, like lived at the racetrack, and he just kind of saw his dad. And the way that he could hang out with his dad was going to the track with him. So he started betting, like as a kid, as a teenager. And so then he kind of became a whiz at that, picking up on horse racing patterns, what have you. Then he gets into betting soccer and then Canadian football. And then that's how he starts betting on the NBA. And he tells a really funny story that he got so good at betting the NBA that he kind of got involved in like this Canadian mafia to where like he would help place their bets. And to the point where he was so good, and they got so good to where like he would have to bet under other people's names.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Like books would stop taking his bets.
Yes. So then he would.
Wow.
They call him beards. And one of his more famous beards was Floyd Mayweather. Like he would just tell Floyd, "Hey, put this on, the Lakers tonight or whatever." So he was big time into gambling. And I wanted to play you his first, what he calls edge, which, the analytics has come a long way to where they can they're very specific. But when it first started, they would give like an NBA over-under of 180. And they would just put the halftime over-under at 90 because it's half of 180, not knowing that there was a difference in scoring in the first and second half. So that was his first introduction into how he could take advantage of the system, and he explains a little bit of it here.
Did you just enjoy the game, or did you play it when you were growing up?
I don't know. I just like the rhythm of it. What I ended up betting on in basketball is I started betting over-unders, just how many points both teams will score combined, over or under a certain number. And then I started discovering like you could bet halftime over-unders, like first half and second half. I think that was like when I started to realize, I have an edge in this. Because some teams just had like very specific styles of play where they would play certain players in the first half but not in the second half, a different strategy in the first half versus the second half. And so that's where I think I started to have a real edge. When the halftime totals first came out, they would roughly divide the first half total, the full game total in half, and give you the first half and the second half. Maybe they'd make the first half a little bit higher scoring, because on average the first half was higher scoring than the second half. My edge was so big that I couldn't lose. Like there's no way I could lose on these halftime totals I was betting. And so I just took like really big swings.
But surely, like, what's the variance here? Like, there must be some.
No, it was like, I'll tell you what the variance was. We were betting first half unders, second half overs. Those were the best bets. First half unders, second half overs. Okay. So the second half has overtime and fouling in your favor. So like the variance, like, it goes to overtime. That sucks if you have an under. Well, you have an over, so it doesn't matter. So the game's going to be higher scoring. So some teams did what they were supposed to do, 41 games a year on the road, and they would probably have gone somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 overs, 10 unders, and like maybe one push in the second half. Like it was such a massive edge. Like you have no idea how big this edge was. Like you could not lose.
So he was winning 75% of his bets doing that. Because, teams playing on the road, like you said, would do what they were supposed to do 3 out of 4 games.
And if you win, 55%, you're considered awesome?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make real money at 60.
And
but
he's winning 75% of his bets, betting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars.
You know what's kind of funny, and I don't gamble enough to know this for sure, but I feel like as gambling has become more accessible, it's become a lot harder.
Well, yeah.
Like I just think there were probably a lot of guys like this over the last 50 years that are like just brilliant. They're like, do they not know what they're doing here? We have a buddy who
it's become sharper.
It's become a lot sharper.
There's more intel as well for everyone who's trying to place bets, whether you're playing fantasy or betting like Haralbos.
Yeah, we had a buddy who, at least for a couple years, I think did pretty well betting the first 5 innings of baseball games rather than going to the full 9. And it didn't seem at that point that the books had totally caught up to the idea of like, I'm just going to reduce the variance of the bullpen entirely.
Right.
I'm just going to bet on the starter. I don't know if it wasn't 75%, but it was better than betting the full game over, under, or money line.
Like you after Kobe died, betting all the unders.
So
I wanted simply honoring him.
I wanted to play one more setup from him because, that's how it started, was as simple as halftime over-unders. Well, then they started changing lines because of him. And then some bookies knew that he would bet the over, so they would inflate their over totals. I mean, he was changing the way that bookies were taking bets. And so then he started getting more specific in how he analyzed these games. And like Jake said, he was a programmer. So he began to build these models, and it's so funny hearing him talk about this because this was probably, 15 years ago that he's doing this?
Yeah.
And he is
mid-2000s.
He is mentioning analytic tools that we use today, like more specific plus minuses or expected points per possession. And he was doing that a long time ago off of code that he wrote.
What does it take for you to develop your own understanding of the lines, etc.? Like, what's your?
We had a model that is simulating the outcome of the games, like I want to say Monte Carlo sim, 'cause it's not. It's like an actual full-fledged simulator. It's simulating every possession of every game 10,000 times and iterating it on and on.
When you say building simulations, like what kind of methods were you using?
We were doing mostly like Bayesian stuff, but like mostly like black box, like using like C to like just to write the code to like actually simulate the outcome of a basketball game. And then we were doing like different types of regression analysis to determine the priors and the weights for every single thing that was happening. So like one of the most basic things is like something called plus minus in the NBA, like adjusted plus minus, which means like if you play all your minutes with LeBron and never play with anyone else, an unsophisticated model might have trouble differentiating who's good between, like every time LeBron came out, you came out. Every time LeBron came in, you came in. And you're just using plus minus data. In other words, how many points for or against you gave up in your stint. The model might have trouble identifying who's better, who's responsible, you or LeBron. That's if you're using like a raw plus minus model. But you can do other things that look at like who's the guy who made the pass, who's the guy who took the shot, who's the guy who scored the basket, who's the guy who got the rebound. You add in all those different things. But also like what we did is we would look at like for pace in terms of for doing like totals, we would look at things like, okay, how did the possession that you were involved in start? Did it start off of a made basket or did it start off of a missed basket? Because possessions that start off of missed baskets have a higher EV than off of a made basket. Possessions that start after a free throw have an even lower EV because the defense can set. So just doing like a lot of little tiny minuscule edges of thinking about how the game of basketball is being played.
He's a genius, man.
Yeah.
Like that, he is so far ahead of his time with this stuff.
I mean, it's common now.
Yeah.
To scrape Basketball Reference, or I don't know if you can do it with ESPN or NBA.com. I imagine you can. But I mean, that's how like guys built like pitch values and stuff like that on Fangraphs. They're just using MLB.com's like at bat app. You know, because you pull it up and it shows you the location of the pitch, the type of pitch, and the velocity. And if you're smart enough, you can just take all of that data and run it through the type of programs he's talking about, and you could get predictive data. Which is, I mean, yeah, for almost 20 years ago, it's pretty incredible.
And you could see why Cuban loved him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Cuban was all over that.
So I think when you were first introduced, yeah, he's a gambler that's helping the Mavs. That sounds weird. But when you listen to him talk, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you want this guy? So he talks for about 12 minutes on the Mavs, and we can stop and start. But I just thought every single thing in here is interesting because it was the Mavs, just 5 years ago in his time with Carlisle. So he talks about a coach getting mad, and anytime he talks about the coach, it's Carlisle.
I still get like like when people yell and scream, like this also happened with the Mavericks. Like when someone yells and screams or like breaks something, like I hadn't experienced that in a long time. But like in the NBA, it's just regular, like literally like coach like picked up a trash can, threw it across the room, broke something. And I thought, A, this is fucking silly. But B, something in me like was almost like awoke, like I felt very, very like uncomfortable. And I was like, what is this exactly that's making me uncomfortable? And then I kind of figured out like, oh.
Can you explain who the Mavericks are and what your involvement was with them?
Yeah, I worked for the Dallas Mavericks, an NBA team owned by Mark Cuban. My direct title was head of quantitative research and development, which Mark let me make up. So I was like, sounds good to me.
It sounds fancy.
I should have went with director of basketball strategy or something like that. It would have been a little bit more understandable, but I was like, quantitative research and development sounds interesting. What was my role? It depends on who you asked. Some people thought I was like the spook who was there to like spy on behalf of the owner.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, some people thought that I was like running everything as like the GM of the team who's literally running everything. I think the truth was probably, I definitely wasn't a spook. I had a very early situation where I was in the coaches' meetings all the time with the head coaches. I had a very good working relationship with the head coach of the team and several of the assistants. Not such a good relationship with some of the assistants, or one of the assistants. Wasn't bad, but it was just like I could tell like this guy's.
Yeah, I couldn't think of who that. I mean,
Mose.
It could be, because I tried to kind of go back through their history and find what he's talking about in some cases, but I mean, it's hard to know without knowing. He did have.
You got to think of an old school guy, someone that doesn't need all these analytics.
But they had so many. You're trying to think of all the assistant coaches,
biggest staff in the league.
Does he get back to the garbage can thing or no?
Not really.
Okay, I just wonder if that's just the, what I say about if you had a professor or a teacher screaming at your kid because they can't figure out the math problem, like is that the kind of a thing where he's saying that's really weird and uncomfortable? Like, I work in business. I work, we think, we analyze, and if something goes wrong, we try to figure out what did we do wrong, and we try to analyze it better, and not like start throwing stuff all around and screaming.
Yeah, and obviously there's different ways to do it. Everyone always references like Tony Dungy and Steve Kerr, but Steve Kerr, I imagine, still yells some. It's just, I don't know. I've always thought there's some place for needing to get a little aggressive to get people in gear for something that's physical as opposed to just mental. But I'm not even really sold on that too much anymore, to be honest.
He talks way more about Carlisle and just the way that he was. But no, that's really the only aggression story he had.
He's schemy. But anyways, what was it? It was like, it's hard to describe. It was a gambler working in the NBA to help the team make better, smarter basketball decisions. And that involved everything from like what type of offensive philosophy should we be pursuing? What players should we be drafting? What players should we be trading for? Should we be putting it was a lot. Like I had a couple conversations with Coach Carlisle. He was like an NBA championship head coach. This is in 2000, not when I was official team employee. And we got along fine. Like he liked me. He wants to win. And he would take anyone's opinion who he thought would, like, not anyone's, but like he would weigh the opinions of the staff equally in terms of who could help them win. And I think very early on, this might sound whatever arrogant, but I think very early on he recognized my opinion was giving him more of an ability to win games. And so he would use my opinion a lot more than maybe some of the people who are actually the assistant coaches. And so, this is, we redid our entire offense philosophy based on like suggestions I made, and he can disagree with it if he wants, but I got the receipts. It's fine. But we went to a 5-out offense because of me and the stuff that me and my team came up with. And
what's that mean?
He basically told me like, I'm not fucking
just the idea that they're going to put as many shooters on the floor in space.
I see.
Like they're not going to just put somebody on the block.
This was he got hired Luka's rookie year, and so when he kind of gets into it, what I'm pretty sure he's alluding to is putting KP at the 5.
Yeah.
And spacing the floor and let Luka just run a pick and roll every time.
My team came up with, and he basically told me like, I'm not fucking doing that. Get the fuck out of here. And 3 weeks later, they went to he would do that a lot. Like he would basically tell you to shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and then implement the idea as though it organically sprouted from his own brain. But I think also because he wanted to understand it, and I don't know, the offensive thing was interesting because I don't think anyone really thought running a 5-out offense, which is just like a specific offensive alignment. And it's not like I came up with it, by the way. Like I just saw another NBA team doing it, and I was like, yeah, that's the way we should be playing.
Probably the Warriors.
What was the state?
they would just run their guys to the corners. Houston for sure is another good example. Just run your guys to the corners. That everybody does it now. There's always your wings just sprint right to the corner. How much more is there?
There's a little bit. You want a break?
What do you think? We can keep going.
Why, you just got to go potty?
No, it's fine. Keep going.
I do too, but
you got to shake the dew off the lily.
Okay, got a new one. Keep going. You're fine.
Zero. Like I don't like everyone thinks Mark was like this like super cutting edge owner who has like always like big on analytics, whatever. There's a couple guys working in the analytics office. One guy worked really, really hard, still works there. He's a good dude, works really hard, smart. I don't know how much people pay attention to him. I don't know how much they don't pay attention to him. I just know that in my mind, it was like nobody was, I got there and I, immediately started hiring people in my department, started doing stuff.
Were they just playing intuitively?
Yeah, well, but they were, they had skilled NBA coaches that were very good at what they were doing. So it wasn't like they needed the analytics to help them get better, but they would, every team wants to pretend they're doing analysis without maybe actually doing it. Or maybe they have someone on staff, but they don't listen to them. And that's kind of the place where the Mavericks were, where they had people who they weren't listening to. And when I got there, I was like able to show them why. There's just like a lot of different scenarios. I don't know if that's
entirely true, by the way. It might have been when he got there, but him hiring Roland Beach, famously, his one of Cuban's math professors from Indiana. I think that was the guy's name. Maybe conflating him with the guy who ran 82games.com, but they definitely had some guy. They used people for sure. There's a famous story about how that's how they hired Rick. And we brought that up whenever they hired Kidd.
Yeah.
Because they did like this exhaustive study on who was getting the most from their players. It wasn't just that Rick was winning a ton. He was winning, but he was actually just winning more than you would expect with the rosters that he had. And they did this like very, 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 like I said, exhaustive search for it and came up with Rick. And this time they were like, we know Jason Kidd is.
Dirk knows him.
Yeah, Dirk knows it. Dirk likes him. But still, I mean.
And we want it was the Nets model at the time. We want to
be bros.
We want a bro. He used to play. Luka will respect him because he's a Hall of Famer.
And I think Haralbos is brilliant, and I generally like listening to him talk, but there's no doubt he's an egotistical asshole.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't get along with people.
Yeah, he's not going to stop and say, like, oh, yeah, they were actually doing some of this stuff before I got there. He's going to position it as I revolutionized their approach to basketball. So, anyway.
And it's an interesting, remember we talked about how Cuban inserted him in as well. It's just like, hey, I hired this guy.
Yeah.
With no real, he's below Donnie and above, it was just, I hired another brilliant guy. You guys all figure it out.
It's very tech world.
And if you are not a
lifer,
a people person or whatever, Donnie Nelson was very gregarious and friendly and car salesman-y and also very smart and, but if Haralabos comes in there with, I know more than you. You've been in this game for 40 years. I know more though. Like, how's that going to work?
Well, and he does get into how the coaches' meetings used to go. Do you want to take a break? I feel like you're just itching over there.
I feel like we need to take a break.
Yeah. All right.
We all. What are we doing?
Gonna go shake hands with the wife's best friend.
He's on fire, folks.
Scott Curry has caught thousands of fish at Buffalo Springs Lake, but none like this.
Look at that. That is...
I have no idea what it is. I'd like to find out.
Curry knew his catch was something special from the time he hooked it.
Took a long time for us to get it in. We had a fit, we didn't want to lose it. We was afraid the line was going to break on us.
After reeling in the 20-pounder, Curry realized it wasn't a typical catch. This one had teeth.
I haven't seen anything like it.
I've lived there 36 years. I've never seen a fish like that come out of this lake.
Internet searches show it might be a pacu, a fish familiar to South America, or a tambaqui, one of the most valuable commercial fish in the Amazon.
I turned something loose.
A game warden has taken pictures and will try to identify the mystery fish in the next few days.
Oh, I'm pretty excited because I still want to know what it is.
You're listening to The Dumb Zone, 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 The Dumb Zone.
We're all fresh.
Yes.
Thank you, Ted, for naming it.
You're welcome, Dan. And
The puppet.
There it is. Can't step on that. I don't know about the pumpkin pecan waffle foam soap.
Oh,
what do you
we
mean
found
you
our
don't know
first
about
hater.
it?
I don't.
It is strong.
It's
quite
it's
strong.
a lot.
Yeah,
it's pungent.
It is. It's not spring mist.
You're gonna kick my ass out now?
I would never do that. I would have Blake for that.
I did want to tell you that. Oh, he's the ass kick guy now. Is he 1-0 at Fight Night?
Well, you've changed a lot since you had a kid.
I complimented you on your tap water, but I want to be clear that the reason that I use the bathroom tap water is because I'm terrified to go into the main quarters of the house whenever both the girls are here.
Well, they're both
Get
not
insulted.
Here. We only have one girl here.
I can't risk it. What if they walk in? Okay. Yeah.
God, we would all get owned.
One is
so
enough.
hard.
One is enough.
She's potentially not awake yet.
Okay. Well, I just didn't want to walk in there.
It's 1:30.
What's with your pants?
Must be embarrassing for you.
Yeah.
Why are you in your socks?
Like,
That's another weird thing, Dan. Is that well known? Like no socks at all, or no shoes at all in the house ever, or is that just the germaphobe Dan? That's your policy.
No, that's across the house.
Okay.
That's
They're on board. The rest of the family's on board with it. You didn't lay down the law with that.
Yeah, if you look out in the garage, you'll just see all the shoes.
It's a shoe graveyard.
Yeah, that's so you don't bring in the dung, the feces.
I mean, it's true that, like, I've said this before. If you think about it, like, pretty much everything is covered in piss. Like, if you walk in grass,
yeah,
I mean, squirrels, insects have to go, right, somehow. Your feet your shoes are disgusting. My wife has tried to implement it, but I don't think we would ever go to the measure of asking others.
Well, we don't have a lot of people visit.
That's true, too.
You guys are entertainers. I feel like you need an entertaining space in your house because that's your bit.
Yeah.
Dan gave me the choice, and what am I supposed to do? No, I'll just leave my shoes on. No.
I mean, you're Ted Emmerich.
That doesn't
Blake,
mean
do you
anything.
recall ever getting a choice?
No.
No, I don't.
He
I don't believe
asked
that
me,
was
but of
ever
course,
actually
I'm like,
extended.
no.
Either of you guys, Ted Emmerich?
This is very passive.
That's true.
Just fire those
that means,
shoes off.
means
right there.
absolutely nothing. I took my shoes off because it seemed like that was the considerate thing to do. Everyone else does that. That's the policy.
It really
Great.
does make sense. Like
Now,
the idea that you would just walk around on concrete or in grass or anywhere.
Or into that gas station bathroom.
Right.
And then you just walk it
Oh,
up
yeah,
here.
especially you.
Yeah, you're in that gas station
Going to the
bathroom every
QT
day.
or-
Almost every day,
2
yes.
to 3 times a day.
Bombarding that bathroom.
Did you like
bombarding?
So, Ted Emmerich, you like the den.
Yes.
There's the
I see
Jeff
Baker.
Goldblum.
I see Step Brothers and Baker right behind me.
Oh, yeah, I got you
Yeah.
some spice. I forgot I got you
Spice.
some Tony Chachere's.
Oh, I
injectable
love Tony
butter
Chat. You know,
and
my dad
jalapeno.
was
I love
from
that
New
this still-
Orleans,
this
and
still
There you
going.
go.
yeah,
That's
injectables.
that's a little tougher, but it actually does have a syringe on it. So if you have
It
anybody
has
who
an
could,
actual syringe.
He
I'll
says-
be giving away most of this.
he
pretty
says
soon.
it's very easy to do. I've never actually tried it, but
So what? You just stick it up? The
Don't ask us.
Turkey.
there's directions on there actually. There's
All
two.
right, I see.
And I've had a turkey that was injected, and it's far better. But I don't know if I'm the guy for the bird.
Did you like some of our off-air talk? Because you got to see us preparing for the show and the fact that we have been answering emails from our merch guy.
Yes, you're doing
and
business.
Our bookkeeper and our CPA. But did you note Jake earlier said for some reason all the Colton is our CPA. For some reason all the emails go to spam. So he's not able to access it with Gmail.
Oh, that's right. You need to upgrade.
So the only
to
ones
the
you see are
old
the
reliable
ones that roll through the Hotmail and kind of
Yes.
boost it, give you a
That's
boost.
right.
Yeah.
Hotmail recognizes the importance of business.
I got to watch my mouth, Blake.
Why?
I just don't want to. I shouldn't have said that out loud. Like I should be thinking about any email-related comment that I make. It could potentially
Hotmail
be
is superior.
Hotmail PR.
You'll have one someday.
There's no way they even take new signups. I don't even think
Yeah.
they're a functioning company anymore. Like
Jake Z at Hotmail.
You still got to buy the CD.
right?
with
Yeah,
the-
you get Dan has to
Like
roll through a
AOL.
new one
Yeah.
every 30 hours.
All right, back to Haralbos. Bob
Yeah.
Voulgaris.
Yeah, we had
former
set up-
shadow GM of the Mavs.
Yeah, we had set up. He was a very successful gambler. Then got into his analytical approach. Hired by the Mavs, but yeah, like Dan said, was not really given. He even admitted he made up his own title. He goes on to say he was basically working for Mark, but then would just like sit in on coaches' meetings and kind of tell Carlisle what to do. But then, yeah, let's pick up where we left off here.
There, I was like able to show them why. There's just like a lot of different scenarios. Like we'd be in an offensive meeting, for instance, and they're like this thing like, oh, the ball finds energy, like all these like euphemisms. Like we got to make at least 3 to 4 passes before we take a shot, like 4 passes to take a shot. So like I just went and printed out like a plot that showed like your offensive efficiency, which is that's what you're solving for. Offensive efficiency, how many points you score every time you have the ball.
You're right.
Okay. Offensive efficiency declines with the number of passes you make, because every pass is another opportunity for a turnover, which is bad.
So it sounds like there was like almost like a lot of like old
That makes
white.
sense.
So he'll expound upon this. But yeah, some old guy's like, hey, let's get everyone involved, and Haralbos like, no, that's not right.
Yeah,
It's a very. I watched Hoosiers.
Yeah.
And I just I'm coaching off of that. But it does make sense. I never thought of it like that.
I mean,
and
for-
also
for
now
some
your
teams,
time on the
maybe.
shot clock is diminished as
Right.
well. So
You're
more
right.
Yeah,
likely.
he gets into this.
tales, essentially?
It was a lot of old wives' tales, and there was a lot of like I'm a guy where like it became the coaches' meetings became very quiet, and even one of the assistants even said like, yeah, I don't want to say anything because I know if I say something wrong, Bob's gonna like tap data, like tell me to fuck off, basically. So
Must have ruffled a lot of feathers.
a little bit, yeah. But I was like an easygoing guy. Like I was just like having a good time, you know. I wasn't like life or death.
Well, people don't like to hear their intuitions being challenged.
Definitely
and if they've
not.
got these deeply held intuitions that they've had a long time, and it's interesting because I bet some of them were born out of some truth.
And some of them were good, by the way. Some of these guys had intuitions that were very good, but that doesn't mean every one of them is going to be good. And you should want to be able to
Right, your
like,
job is to come and razor blade the crappy
correct.
ones.
And I think the people I vibe with are the people who can accept the fact that they might be wrong and hear about it. And here's why.
Here's my plot.
Here's why you're wrong. Yeah, there's like some actual data that shows like we would have coaches meetings sometimes. And then by the way, after like a short period of time, like I was no longer in the coaches meetings, just to be clear, because it was just counterintuitive. Because unless you were like, what do you think we should do here? And then you go around the room, not just because of me, but every person is going to impact the next person's choice. So like, unless you're writing like a sealed envelope of what you who we think should guard this person, it doesn't work. But we used to go in there some mornings and there would be like, we'd look at shots and there'd be like a wide, this is like when the 3-point shot wasn't quite as like, I was pushing for more threes. In fact, they broke a franchise record in 3-point attempts. I think the second game or the third game of my like time as like an employee.
I looked that up, and it's true. He says the second game of his tenure, it was against Minnesota. They shot 53s that game.
Vaguely remember that.
And
a record that has since been broken.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's the norm now. But at the time, it was, this sounds bad, it was tied for the 30th most attempts in a game, and 24 of the top 30 instances were the Houston Rockets. Obviously way ahead of the curve there, but I mean the Mavs were one of those teams that were just beginning to shoot a lot of threes, and he explains why.
Versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. But they would like see a guy with a wide open three, but like 3 seconds into the shot clock. They'd go around and they'd freeze frame it. They'd like go around the room like, is that a good shot or a bad shot? Wide open shot, 3 points from a great shooter. And they'd be like, it just breaks the spirit of the team. If that doesn't go in, like guys are going to feel like they create all these stories for why they think things are happening. And I just be like, they get to me and I'd be like, what the actual fuck are you guys talking about? Like that's a wide open 3-point shot from a guy who shoots probably 43% from there. So that's like, you're not getting any better than that. Like you're out of your fucking mind. Like basically like, let's move on. And now everyone wants to take early transition threes because we had data that showed like the earlier you want to take early shots in the shot clock because
so what did he say?
You have to shoot within 24 seconds.
Was he saying early in the shot clock?
Yeah, and just the idea that like nobody else on the team got involved in the possession. And the crowd gets kind of deflated, which I would definitely early on could feel. Now it's normal and the crowd expects it.
Yeah,
but you would see like somebody come down and just. It's 18 seconds left on the shot clock, and they would just clang like an open three, and the whole crowd was just, oh.
Right, didn't give it a chance, didn't pass it around, maybe get a better shot down low. But, yes, what's a better shot than a absolutely wide open three?
3 points times, 0.43 is going to give you the greatest points per possession you could possibly imagine.
It's deflating on a fast break, the pull up at the 3-point line.
It really still kind of
got
is,
to the rim.
But it's still the best shot.
Yeah.
And based on the percentage he said, my best guess was that was a Seth Curry 3.
I was about to say Seth Curry because he used to do it all the time on his first run here. And, yeah.
And you can
feel the crowd, like, just the air.
Because you're missing more than you make.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Even at 40%. Yeah.
But yeah, he goes on. You were right. I mean, just the closer you get to zeros on the shot clock, the worse the shot gets.
Like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, basically, like, let's move on. And now everyone wants to take early transition threes because we had data that showed like the earlier you want to take early shots in the shot clock because you have a clock. You have to shoot within 24 seconds. So imagine knowing that you have to take a shot within 24 seconds and someone thinking that an early good shot is bad. Like, do you know you're going to get a better shot than that later? And as the time keeps on ticking, it's like when you're playing chess with a timer. So I don't know. It is a lot of old wives' tale stuff. It's a lot of like people who never really the analytics weren't really a part of the game. Now it is, and people think it's kind of ruined the game, and maybe it has.
Do you think there's ever like a sort of tipping point of too much analysis?
Yeah, for sure. And it's a culture war too. It's jocks versus nerds.
Yeah.
And like me coming in there, it was almost like there was like an immune response. Like this foreign body has come in to this ecosystem. And a lot of people had like an actual physical immune response with me, because it's just like, okay, if this is the way we're going, I can't compete in this environment. I don't have a place on this team if I can't.
I'm not
do
a
this.
statistician.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know any of
Speaking
this
a foreign
stuff.
language, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, like one dude was working there, didn't even know how to use Excel, and I was like, "How do you send emails? Like, who sends your emails for you?" Like as a joke, I was like, "Bro, you got to learn how to use Excel. Like, I can show you how to do it. It's easy. Like, drop down. It's like it wasn't for any analysis. It was just like for a simple task that we had, because he was counting everything by hand. I was like, "Yo, like I can show you." He's like, "No, I just don't get that stuff. I'm not comfortable with that stuff." Super hardworking guy, super great guy, but wasn't comfortable with technology.
Why did you leave?
You know, to be honest, I was like, when I was there, I'm a type of person who I signed a 3-year contract, and about 6 weeks in, I was like heavily questioning, what the fuck did I just do here? I had just had a broken engagement, flew back from Greece direct to Dallas to meet with Mark, agreed to a job contract that morning, and then was like, oh, I'm moving to Dallas now. Every year, like around December, I'd be like, yo, I can't live in Dallas anymore. Like, I want to go to Mexico. I want to work from Mexico. I'd rather like split my time between Mexico and LA or whatever, Mexico and Europe and whatever, mostly Mexico. You can fire me. You can let me out of my contract, or I can work from Mexico, you know, but I'm cool with whatever you decide. And they would be like, okay, no problem. You can work from Mexico. That was. And there was like one point where it was very difficult, because me and the coach actually got into an argument, we always argued because that was just his style. He was a very combative person, and he was very good at it. And he was also very like a master manipulator, not in a bad way, but like just like mental mind games was his thing. And so there was like one situation where we had our starting center got injured. We had to like revamp the way we were doing things. I was like working remote, so I wasn't there. And he calls me up and he's like, did you hear what we're doing? And I was like, yeah, you guys are going with, you know, so-and-so starting. Yeah, I wouldn't do that, but you know, it's fine. I was like, well, what would you do? And so I said, like, this is what I would do. Like, we should go small. We should embrace the small thing. We'll play Dodo at the 4. You know, we're playing Portland that night. They already met with the team and told the team, this is what we're going to do after this injury. We're going to lean into this style of play. We're going to go big, lean into it. And so they presented it to the team. I think this is what happened. I don't know. This is like maybe too much of the spilling the tea, but whatever, who cares? And then he talked to me, and I was like, yeah, it's a bad idea. I think you should do this. Like, we're going to win games 130 to 120, but we're going to win games. Nobody's going to be able to stop us. We'll be able to go full 5 out. That's what I would do personally. I think you're making a mistake. And
Okay, so I wanted to pause there. And
I remember that.
I wanted to find this.
Not that exact spot, but I just remember that was their style for a while.
Yeah.
Even under Carlisle, and it seemed really weird because
he's the Pacers guy.
That is not Carlisle's. Yeah, Carlisle loves him some defense.
He was talking about Dwight Powell tearing his Achilles. And my thinking was that Carlisle wanted to go with Boban and go big with Boban, playing with KP. But then instead, they start Seth Curry, Luka, Tim Hardaway, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Kristaps, and they go small. In the very first game, exactly like he said, they won 133 to 125. And Kristaps playing by himself at the 5, that was only the second time KP had started at the 5 without Dwight or Maxey with him. So I think that is when he gained influence on the team. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but you remember Luka getting really mad at Carlisle saying, "Who runs the team, you or Bob?" Do you remember that?
It was in the article.
Yeah. I think it's because of this situation, because Carlisle had probably told the team, hey, we're going to start Boban, which is Luka's friend. Boban's finally going to get some run. And then he discusses with Haralbos, who says, no, you need to go small, and you need to start Tim Hardaway and Seth Curry. And so that's when I think Luka and the players, he says it here, like kind of realized that Haralbos was making all the decisions.
I didn't realize, like, okay, cool, like, we'll change it. I didn't realize it would be, if he agreed with me, and I could tell he was, that part is, I could tell he was agreeing with me. But he was still hesitant to do it, and I didn't figure out why until I spoke to one of the assistants. He's like, well, yeah, because we just met with the team and explained to them what we're going to do. Now this guy's got to figure out a way. And the players are smart. Like, they're going to think immediately, oh, it's Bob. Like, Bob thought something different, and that's why we're doing something different. And so, yeah, sure enough, he started yelling and screaming at me like, what the fuck? This is why we can't have you working remote. Like, you got to get, like, what does your contract say? I was like, my contract says that I have to answer to you and Mark, and that I'm working. Where does it say you have to work? I said, it says I have to work in Dallas. Like, okay, case closed. I was like, yeah, no problem. So he went, were you coming to Dallas? No, I'm not coming to Dallas. I do not want to live in, I didn't like it.
Were there other teams at the time that had their token, not token
This is the
nerd,
last
but
thing.
just like another nerd come in?
Now I think there's more, but not in the role that I had. It was such an odd situation where like there was no other team that would ever hire me. Like, because it was such a fucked up situation, I had to appreciate the fact that it had to have been fucked up in order for me to be there. Because if it wasn't fucked up, like, you had to have a guy like Mark to want to do something as crazy and out of the box as that. Like, have a dude who was a former gambler, you know, around all the time, coming up with ideas and, like, you know, in coaches meetings, you know, providing reports. And, like, you know, I had to CC Mark on every email. And so, you know, Mark would chime in with some ideas too in playoff series. Like, it was just a different environment. Like, you know, Mark gets up in the middle of the huddles during playoff games and talks to the, you know, he's on the court. Like, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
I thought that was the perfect ending of it. It had to be a messed up situation for me to be hired there.
Which makes sense. You have to have kind of crazy tech owner.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I just love just because, you know, I remember when this overtook baseball, of course, Moneyball-ish era, and then you just wondered, can this happen in basketball? And apparently it really easily could.
Yeah.
But you now wonder how much, you know, when do they get to the point of, kind of like the gambling lines and stuff, when are we at the end? Can Haralbos figure out an edge now? Or with,
I mean, there's
Vegas
stuff
has
like
their
that.
computer models now too.
Yeah, I don't know as it applies to gambling, but there's stuff like that. I always thought that it was inaccurate when people would say that, like, trends in sports were cyclical. I always thought of it more as, like, evolutionary in the sense that it's not going around and around. It's, like, rolling and going around. So, like, I'm not a physics guy, so... But, like, I think
inertia,
like,
pushing
there's
forward, momentum.
Everyone says, like, you should throw the ball more, right? You should throw the ball more. You should throw the ball more. It's a more efficient play. But obviously, once you do that enough, you can force teams into looks that you can run into, and it's way better to run the ball, like, inside the 10-yard line.
So it'll go 3 steps forward, 1 back.
Yeah, however you want to say it.
Yeah,
I just think and that's why, you know, I mean, everybody wants to shoot threes. Threes are still better shots, but if you can find a guy who's like a dead-eye mid-range shooter, no one covers that shot anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, that's just...
Aren't there some guys that are...
Oh, yeah. You know,
have taken advantage of that? Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan types. I mean, even Luka to an extent. But, like, teams are just set up to stop one thing as time goes on. It's just like in baseball, right? Like, guys, I don't know as much of the baseball, but if... you're teaching hitters to primarily hit the pitch that's being thrown the most. Well, if there's another guy that excels at one that they're not working on as much, then you have an edge.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man.
It was, I mean, I know it was long, but it was just very interesting to me because this was just 5 years ago, you know, with the Mavericks. And just, you could, in him telling stories, you know, you could kind of piece together like, okay, yeah, I remember when they started going 5 out, and yeah, I remember them changing some things. And then we discovered who he was, and then we remember Luka getting mad at Carlisle and just the whole split. And it was really cool to hear from him because we didn't hear much from him for a long time.
I wish he would have been in a room with Jason Kidd. That would have been very funny to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no matter what you think of Carlisle's, you know, abrasiveness, it did seem like he welcomed this as far as another, hey, this is I want any little edge I can get.
Yeah.
But yes, would Kidd even pay attention to it at all?
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't.
It's really wonder what Donnie, you know, the Donnie tenure is very interesting. I mean, even right now. Is he still suing Cuban or?
But all that kind of just died down. I'm sure it's just because court takes a long time.
Not that you guys would know anything about
But
that.
Donnie had to hate him.
Oh yeah,
But what, like his whole nephew thing, like that was
so weird.
really weird.
All right.
It was a gay sex angle.
You choose. You want to do some news
I'm not
or
choosing.
some today in history?
I'm not choosing.
Ted Emmerich.
Make Ted choose.
News.
I'm not even ready.
Okay, the today in
Well,
history.
then he did choose.
Here's Jane.
This is what he does.
Dumb Zone.
What a little bitch.
All right, so we're going to go back to Grapevine, as I told you we would in our opening segment about the Carol of Lights last night. A man who is still alive and still the mayor, William D. Tate, pardoned Tom T. Turkey from the Thanksgiving table.
Enough.
Bad bit.
As they kicked off their Thanksgiving
so the
fun. With
mayors do that? I thought that was just a president thing.
I know for sure Grapevine has done it because there's a farm. There's that Nash farm in between like where I used to live and where I live now. And they got turkeys and stuff, and they get one from there, and they make a big thing of it.
Is that the one by Ball and Wall Park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's a nice place to go tour.
So when did he get the street named after him?
Okay, so I don't exactly know that, but I know he's been mayor for like forever. And when I first moved to Grapevine the first time, and I would drive on William D. Tate, and then I would see local elections coming up, and I was like, what? Did they leave the junior off?
Elected mayor 1973 till 1985. Re-elected 88 to present.
As I told Dan yesterday, it would be like if R.L. Thornton was the mayor of Dallas. Or just think of any sort of, Mr. Chisholm is the mayor of Fort Worth.
They must have named it after the first tenure. Like, hey, he was such a good mayor.
Right.
But then he's like, I'm back 2 years later.
Do we have a date on when he took office?
Yeah, 73. He was elected to city council in 72. Ran for mayor the next year.
73.
Won.
Picasso died in 73.
Jeez.
Blake wasn't listening.
That's a good point. It's fine. He wanted to confirm so he could do the Picasso thing.
What happened?
He said those dates already.
Yeah, I try to be nice. I thought you were just double checking.
He died in April. I wanted to see if he was okay.
So, yeah, he pardoned the turkey, and he also did something that I will not be able to do this year. He was on the first trip of the North Pole Express. You done this before, Ted?
What, the Grapevine ice thing? Or what are we talking about?
This is the Grapevine train that is like they have Mrs. Claus and Santa on there. And they like bring cookies around, and it's a big Christmas-themed thing, and it's awesome.
But you can't.
Okay. And we did it last year, and here's why we can't this year. Because sign-ups were full in July.
Wow.
And then from there you could get on a wait list. You're thinking of the deal with the Gaylord.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
You'd be thinking, as a Grapevine resident, you'd have...
Dude, she was on it like 2 days after the sign-ups went up in the summer, and it was done. Yeah, so we will not be doing this.
Well, just don't tell her it's an option.
Oh, no, we won't.
She doesn't know anything.
She doesn't know anything.
William D. Tate, so I introduced him for the tree lighting ceremony like, I don't know, 15 years ago, many, many years ago. My kids were little, and it was very cool.
Well, Dad loved the show. Thank you so much for that kind introduction.
It's probably the coolest thing your daughters have ever seen you do.
Probably, yeah. But he was like, I thought he was 80 then. Mm-hmm. And he had grandkids running around. Like it feels like he had grandkids that were older than my kids. And
probably did.
Yeah.
I mean, he was out there last night. I mean, I literally drive by his law office, like on the way to...
How's he looking? Good?
I mean, he just looks like an old guy, you know. I mean, fine, I guess.
How's he look versus Biden on the Biden scale?
I actually don't think Biden looks bad. I think he just sounds and moves bad.
Yeah.
He's 81. Like Biden.
WT?
Did you see
WDT?
Biden tried to do comedy yesterday, but it just backfired on him?
No.
It was his birthday, obviously.
Yeah.
And he put up a picture. The caption was like, apparently you can still get a cake on your 146th birthday because he knows like the joke about him and he's so old. But the reason that it almost kind of backfired is it legit did look like they tried to put 81 candles on a cake, and the cake looks just like it's on fire. Like the whole top of the cake just looks like a napalm just hit it.
Looks like a super candle with all.
Yeah, it does. It just looks like there's just a cake-sized candle on it.
And he can't blow all those candles out.
I would think it would have. Kamala might have been president if he had to try.
Oh, then we get that first gentleman in the Warriors.
You
Dougie.
can't wait for that.
I can wait.
One more Thanksgiving story, and I'm only doing this because it reminds me of a bad bit. I guess the fact that people have to line up to get turkeys or Thanksgiving food giveaways is also a bad bit. But the North Texas Food Bank does a lot of work around this time of year. It's a great thing to donate to. But what it reminded me of was one of my least favorite bad bits, or maybe it would be favorite, was for like a year or two, there was a viral bit where cops would pull people over and they're like freaking out. You know, it would typically be someone in like a economically disadvantaged area, and they would ask, license registration, and then they would go back to their car, and then they would just bring them a turkey.
Kind of remember that.
Or, a bag of food. Or maybe they didn't actually ask for their license, but the people would look panicked, like, I'm sorry.
Right. You're seeing it from the dash cam
Yeah.
or body cam
Yeah.
footage.
They're eating their drugs.
Right, they're like, oh, God. I'm sorry, but you also have a warrant, so you can take care of this turkey being cooked whenever you get out in 2 days. Bad bit. It's bad enough that you're too poor to have Thanksgiving, and now you have to have 10 minutes of what I would consider to be one of the worst feelings in the world.
And
the 5 minutes
they're videoing
of the first pullover. Yeah, they are.
And then they're going to put it on their soch
Yeah.
to show how cool they are.
And they're crying. We have some big news for Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Toys R Us has now opened a store.
Really?
At DFW.
Wow. Is that next to the new Eatsies?
I think it's actually what terminal's Eatsies? I think
D.
Okay, this one's
Man,
a terminal.
that is incredible.
I was upset. I flew
I
out
heard
of C.
Yeah. I
What-
flew out of D, and that new part of D where you have Eatsies, where you have Trinity Grove's Kitchen, the cake bar. It's like a new wing for Terminal D.
Dang.
Awesome. I mean, D is already the best one,
Yeah.
like by far, the international terminal, right? Yeah. So cool to have that there.
Well, you'll have to hop on Skylink or whatever they call it. No,
Yes.
that's Elon's internet, right?
No, I think you're
No,
right.
I think, yeah.
So the worst thing.
Starlink.
Yeah.
Is Elon's internet.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Don't you hate if you park in A, if you depart from A and then you land in C?
Well,
you
mean,
got to
that's-
hop on that thing.
Right.
Skylink. Yeah,
To get
it's not
back to-
bad.
It is bad because the only way to get on that is to be in the terminal.
Why don't you just stay in the terminal?
Or you just take an
Were you
Uber to
let
the
off-
airport.
All right, let me just explain this to you guys.
Were you
All right.
let off on the
So you
tarmac?
get up, you get there late at night,
Lane Kiffin. Yep.
Yeah.
which I've done. Get home late at night. You left from A, but it lands in C.
Yeah.
I parked in A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now my luggage is going to come down in C.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to go out and get my luggage and then
Oh.
get to A, well, now I have to wait for the shuttle, which if you're there late at night, takes forever.
Right.
There is a shuttle, but that's or just get an Uber.
You
I
live
guess.
so close, just do Uber. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just haven't.
No, Uber to A to get my
Yeah.
car.
Well, just don't park at the airport. Yeah. Just Uber to
Quit
the
yelling at
airport.
me.
I did not think of the checking the bag part.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
because
checking the bag,
That's
'cause-
about
right.
5% of flights I've ever taken.
You don't check a bag,
No.
and you know
You get-
100% of flights I check a bag.
Yeah, you got to get the blanket.
I got to fit the blanket into the. My wife is annoyed with me too because we only went to Clemson for like 3 days, and she has this tiny carry-on, and
I mean, I feel like Americans pretty gracious with the carry-on they'll let you bring, like a suitcase. You just
Yeah, the roller board.
suit- Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, unless I'm traveling
But I
to
need the big. I like the big thing.
Colorado and need a bunch of ski gear or something, I'm not checking a bag.
I mean, I have to check my clubs.
Yeah.
Of course.
But there should be a way to get onto the
hosel
you're
breaks,
right.
train
inevitably.
You're right.
from the baggage claim.
I stand down.
I mean, there's a lot of ways he could fix this.
Not take a blanket.
Not take a blanket.
So what I've done
Uber-
before is hop right on the train, and then you just hope that nobody steals your bag or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's also a beating.
But you have them Apple tagged.
I do now. That's my new bit. Apple tag. Put an Apple tag in your luggage.
So, anyways, you can buy toys at Terminal A.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to that. I thought Toys R Us was dead.
You thought it went under.
They declared bankruptcy in 2017, and then their corpse was purchased by some,
The Spirit Halloween store.
No, it was bought by one of these. I don't even know what it's called. It's just like a venture capital type thing. That is like,
VC.
all right. Yeah, it's a little VC. And they just bought what the remains of Toys R Us were. And we're like, I don't know, this is cheap. We might as well see what we can do with it. And what they've decided to do with it is start with DFW Airport and try to open. They opened one in New Jersey in 2021, and they're looking to open 24 next year.
In an airport.
And then their other move is to partner with like Macy's or other department stores where people still go and open like a small one inside there. Because I know that everybody just says like, oh, you have Amazon, you have Amazon. Dude, I don't know. I think for kids, that is a magic that is very tough to recreate.
Yes.
You need the
I think it should. I think it should
Yes.
work. They might have been too big, and they might have been carrying too much inventory.
Yes, they were massive.
They really were.
The one in Mesquite I used to go to.
Oh
was
yeah,
huge.
went to that one too. Yes.
But I think there's something about if I could take my kid to a store that was a third of that size, and say like, hey, you can get something.
You need to test drive the toy.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what they're.
Put your hands on it. Get a look at
But
it.
are they thinking that there's a ton of kids at the airport that need a toy for the flight?
I think they're probably thinking that they can prey upon parents who are already dealing with kids who are in a bad mood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, most kids at the airport are.
Yeah.
And they can just
Now, will you behave?
buy you off for $18.99 for something from Mattel.
Yeah, and I guess it's if you can just draw even there. I mean, the marketing of how many people go through that terminal and see, oh, there's still Toys R Us available.
Yeah. Traveling dad.
All right.
Get your kids something for when you get home.
But don't you have to get something labeled with the city that you were in?
You're probably supposed to, but what if you forgot and now you're in a pickle? Speaking of the Amazon thing, one element of marketing they do that does work that drives me effing bonkers. About 10 days ago, because I'm checking the mail like every day now, Blake, for business documents.
We already got it.
Okay. Thanks for telling me. You told me it was still coming to my house.
Yeah, I didn't want to let you down.
He had it sent here.
Okay, well, I've still been going through.
You can make
I've
sure.
literally been opening up
the original is
every
still
single
out there
envelope
somewhere.
that I open. Is just credit application or home loan. Anyways, one of the things you're an ass.
Well, I mean,
You think I want to go through my mail like that every day? Anyways,
You should anyway.
no, most of it's junk, but sometimes you'll get like a nondescript envelope and
Cool
you're like,
coupon.
A Valpak.
Valpak, yeah,
Hey.
passbook. Okay, Amazon sent us like a children's Christmas catalog.
Oh yeah.
And what I do usually is I bring in the mail, all of
Mm-hmm.
it, and just kind of like flip through it and just leave it on the kitchen table, and she'll go look at it, whatever, and then I'll get back to it and throw out what we don't need. But I didn't throw it out on time, and the kid got to it, and now, dude,
She circled everything.
literally
Yes.
75% of the items in
Yes.
the catalog are circled.
There you go.
And she's going to be so crushed when she gets 2 of those things. That's a cheap-ass move from Amazon, man.
We go through it together with Jane. And
That's
all
a
right,
better move.
Here's our
We
limit.
tried that kind
like
of, but-
we're not. Yeah, it's coming, right?
We're not
They
to
send it
limits
to
yet.
everyone.
We're a couple of years
Yeah.
away. It's a bad bit.
Well, and your kid is still at an age where you can. It's more volume, right? So it could be a bunch of cheap stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But if she has 20 presents. But she's also at an age where she is very competitive with the brother, right? So you got to get them the exact amount of presents.
This will be the first year that, I mean, obviously last year it was so young. But now, yeah, we may have to think about that.
She'll have to be counting,
Well, give her one more because she cares.
She already has the big room.
She does, man.
She runs that house, doesn't she?
100%.
Yeah. She'll have that office before you will.
All right, there's your news.
Happy Thanksgiving.
The Dumb Zone News. Like.
This is a large
and
episode.
Subscribe.
Ted's here.
That's a good news.
Ted is here.
That was
and
good news.
We're not going to have 2 days this week. We're off. So.
Oh, man.
So we're trying to add more
that's
content
right.
for
Yeah.
people to
I'm a
listen.
subby. God, where did I hear it? Somebody else, just in the wild. You see the Dumb Zone logo on the phone, and you connect that way.
That's
the
cool.
the knowing nod, and it's like, isn't it amazing how much they put out?
That's
for this price.
Absolutely no way that's ever happened.
That happened on my flight.
No, it did not.
Yes, it did. It's a flight coming back home. Where was I? Tulsa. Flying home.
Boy, who spent more time in Tulsa?
I know.
Than Ted, Tulsa Ted.
Yeah. Been there a few times.
Before we even move on to history and stuff, I did mean to mention, did you guys pay attention to Snoop Dogg's bit?
Yeah, I
No.
don't even want to mention it.
Did it bother
What is
you?
this?
It bothered me. I did see one funny thing about it that I'll tell you after you tell the story. But initially, it was just, yes, it bothers me.
Well, it was over the weekend. He tweeted out that he's giving up smoke. And please respect my privacy at this time. And
wow, dramatic change.
So you are thinking, what is he, 50, 60, something?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he came in the game very young, but still, he's up there.
I wasn't totally buying it, and I shouldn't have totally bought it, but I half bought it because I did think, well, is he just saying he's going to be an edible guy now?
That was my first thought.
Right.
Or is this going to be to promote his new edibles?
Sure.
And saying I don't smoke anymore?
And my third thought was it's a little bit early, but possibly planting seeds for a Super Bowl ad.
Yeah, I
because
saw
I
that.
just default to Super Bowl ad now.
That's a good. That's a good.
Yes.
Good idea. And it was just planting the seeds for an ad, which happened 2 or 3 days later. And he says, the smoke, it does bother your lungs, it bothers you. And then he is actually, then there's a little video of him sitting in front of his new smokeless fireplace patio
Solo stove,
fireplace
yeah.
thing. Yeah. So, it doesn't get smoke wafting into the house and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just an ad. Like, now Snoop is sold out. I can't.
I mean, I think that ship left.
Yes. We've known that for a while.
No, I did think it was funny. I saw someone this morning. Some guy had quote tweeted that with like, "Damn, it's time for me to make a change too." Like Snoop's always been inspirational to me. The doctor told me that weed and blunts are giving me early onset emphysema. Like, it's time for me to grow up. I'm old enough now. Like, I'm gonna quit too. And it was solidarity with Snoop. I was like, dude, he's just selling stoves.
Yeah.
Like you thought you were on some philosophical journey with your artistic
And Snoop's going to reach
leader.
out to him.
Yeah,
and
he's like,
they're
"Now."
going to connect.
Do I need a solo stove?
Today in history.
I don't really know much about them.
Fire is good.
I know that they're great for pizza.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you're a guy who needs your pizza scene enhanced at any point.
I would if there were one thing, because doing the smoker, I'm kind of iffy on. I have one that I need to get better at using. But if there's one thing I would like
Make
to
sure
get
to take
into,
a picture of the meat before you put it on there.
I will. I would like to get into making pizza.
Interesting.
Like getting a pizza oven.
The outdoor setup.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Wow.
Go to Hammer Barn.
What did you just say?
What?
A little bluey joke. Only the dads would get.
Oh, did Jake
I
nod
just
at
whiffed
that?
on that.
Yeah.
Went to Hammer Barn for their pizza oven. And then they traded with Lucky's dad. You
Yeah.
can continue on. This
Yeah.
didn't land.
No, it's okay. It should have.
Yeah.
That was on me. And Ted.
Yeah, no, we're
Oh, you're
huge
Bluey.
Bluey
Oh,
fans.
okay.
Absolutely.
Good
No,
episode.
missed that one.
Let's see here. Today is Tuesday, November 21st. On this day in 1963, President John F. Kennedy and his wife Jacqueline arrived in San Antonio, Texas, for a 2-day tour of Texas that would end up in Dallas.
How quaint.
It
Yeah.
was a
Fort
very
Worth
successful
and
trip,
Dallas?
wasn't it?
Perhaps it was. I'm not sure. We'll check in a couple days. On this day in 1980, it was the CBS primetime soap opera Dallas, and you found out who shot JR. That's weird. I thought that was a cliffhanger at the end of a season, and then the
Right.
next year.
And then the next season.
Yeah, that's the way
It was all a dream.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was some kind of a writer's strike or something, because why would you have not learned until November 21st? Look that up, Blake. Anyway, the shooter was J.R. Ewing's sister-in-law, Kristen Shepard. And this just tells you about a difference in time. 83 million viewers.
Yeah.
Dang.
Tuned in.
Is that more than, wasn't MASH 78?
Was the MASH finale 78? The point is 80 million people
it's
watching
crazy.
one thing.
Even if you account for, you don't have the paradox of choice now and however many channels there actually were at the time, still, that's just insane.
106 for MASH finale.
Jeez.
Wow.
I've actually never watched like a full episode of Dallas.
I haven't either.
That might be kind of fun. Boo! 350 episodes. Never mind. I'm gonna
See? There's something to too much content.
close that right out.
I think they shot some of Dallas in Wiley.
Did they now?
Well, I mean, the whole show was shot around town, so
Here.
it's not.
Yeah.
That's
I know,
not that interesting of
over
a note.
What Joe Pool? No, somewhere.
They were
Somewhere
shooting
over
some
in
of the
Wiley.
new Dallas down the street here.
Yes. My dad
Yeah,
had
see,
fun.
that's fun. That's a
they
fun note.
They asked him to be the PA announcer, which he was at the time for the Cowboys, and they asked him for one line, and he got paid to do it. And
What did he get paid?
It was some scene I don't remember, but it was ridiculous for one line. Like we are talking 4 figures, if I remember right.
Man.
Just for and Jerry Jones. The owner of the Dallas Cowboys would like to welcome, so-and-so, right? Insert character's name from the new show.
Dang, TV,
Yeah.
man.
TV.
TV
Ted
TV
got it
money.
right.
TV money.
Did you always want to do what your dad did?
I got, the phrase, getting bitten by the bug, right? Very early, just being around it. Like you're talking about Cowboys Thanksgiving games. Like I remember tagging along with him and
So
just
you've been
sitting
at
in the
many.
press box. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
as a kid,
You didn't
back,
answer when we talked about that.
Oh,
You laid out.
who cares? Like, need to hear from me. I'm just
All
hanging
right.
out with you. Can I still say hanging, by the way? I like hanging out with you guys. Sitting next to my dad and Killer and Kelly Webster and, the rest of the crew in the auxiliary press box. And the thing is, my dad didn't do a ton of play-by-play. He was an anchor and, did reporting and all of that. And he always wanted to do play-by-play. Never really went down that road outside of a few side gigs, and that's what I latched on to very quickly. So, yeah, I mean, definitely the same business and you're exposed to it, but, I wanted to do that and only that.
Did he have sweet parking at those games?
No.
Really?
No. I mean, it was fine.
They wouldn't give the
I
PA
mean, like
guy?
at Texas. Oh, you're talking about when he was the PA guy. I was,
Yeah.
at Texas Stadium when he was just covering the game. Yeah, they took care of him.
Okay,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what I meant.
Yes.
How long was it? Was he the PA guy before Jubb?
After Jubb, after Jody Dean, who opened the new stadium.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, Jody was the first guy, and there was a parting of ways, however that went down with Jody and the team, and they held open auditions. And my dad remembered that day, and like he's following Jimmy Christopher and whoever else, right? And my dad thought that he blew it. He's looking out, right? He's in that booth, and he's looking out, and there is Charlotte in the end zone listening to every single person who auditions and their voice ringing through an empty stadium. And it's not like my dad, I asked, did he trip over your words or something? And it's like, no, I don't think I was that good. And, it's not going to happen. But it was fun, right? It was just fun to do it. And, of course, inevitably, he gets the call a day later from, I think, Brett Daniels. And we'd like to offer you the position of public address announcer. What do you think? And that was his first gig, like going back to high school. And that was a fun, full circle moment for him. Something to have on the side in addition to his job at KRLD.
What do you get paid for that?
I don't remember. I really don't.
$1,000 a game?
I don't know.
50,000 a game.
No, it was not 50. I'm telling you.
Okay.
I don't think it was 1,000.
You had to see that coming a mile away, though.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure he wants to know it. Next, he's going to ask me my game rate at ESPN or something.
I am very interested in that.
I'm sure you are. I'm not going to
talk
talk about that or what my dad. I really don't remember. I think it was under 1,000, but still, for what we're at the time, 8 regular season games, maybe 2 preseason games, a playoff game.
I mean, I'm fascinated by what do people make for those jobs, of course. I feel like I remember this story, and I might butcher everything about it. But it was when Humble Billy Hayes took over PA announcing for the Mavs.
Mm-hmm.
So before him was who? The Donovan...
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the way I grew up going to NBA games. It's what I remember, just a stoic...
Yeah.
Right.
That baritone.
Three-pointer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of cheerleader.
Foul shot. Yeah. And then,
right.
As I remember, Kevin McCarthy and Humble Billy worked together in some form at Cliff. And Kevin McCarthy got sick or something. Anyway, Humble Billy filled in, and he went nuts. He did the screaming. He was the screaming guy.
Yep.
And Cuban loved it.
Yeah.
And wanted to hire him. And I think Humble Billy didn't want to take the job from his buddy. And his buddy said, well, look, you got to do what's good for you. If Cuban wants to get rid of me, he's going to get rid of me anyway. Ask for something crazy, and I think he asked for $1,000 a game.
Wow.
When
NBA
McCarthy was making
schedule?
like $100 a game or something.
Oh, wow.
And I think Cuban said yes.
Dang.
But again, this
right.
could be $500 a game.
Right,
but
right.
I think that's how the story went.
Yeah.
Which is why I ask. I'm very interested in that kind of stuff. I mean, you used to always hear the cheerleaders only made like $50 a game.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah.
Or something insane.
Exposure.
Yeah.
Because you can say you can put that on your resume.
Hey, Stacy Keibler went from the Baltimore Ravens to WWE.
I didn't know that.
I don't even know that person.
George
said.
Clooney, Stacy Keibler, and George. This was before. Who is it? Amal or whatever her name is now.
Abel.
Yeah, right.
Birthdays today. We celebrate BL, Brett Lieber, of course, from my fantasy league and just from being BL over the years.
Good dude.
You know him well. So happy birthday to BL. I'm not sure how his team is doing. They lost this week. But everybody has a name, and a weird name for their team, so I'm not sure what he is. I'm the Alabama.
Did he go
Leprechaun.
0 running back in the draft, Dan?
Oh, my God. I can't.
What does that mean?
It's where you load up on receivers and you try to take advantage of the fragile nature of the running back position, knowing that random guys will pop up over the course of the season that you can pluck on the waiver wire.
Like workout trades.
Like Kyron Williams.
Or Jerome Ford.
Right.
I don't play any fantasy football, but I honestly didn't feel I needed an explanation for what is 0 back in the draft. Well, they call me Coach Joe.
Yeah. I'm in a league with Landry Locker and Jared Sandler. You know.
Look at this guy name dropping left and right.
Yep.
Yeah, they're two of my best friends, and both Dumb Zone guests as well.
Landry, from what I've heard, will write like a 2,000-word text on you about the league.
Yes, he will.
Laying into somebody.
Yeah, they.
Do you guys have a league text thread?
We take it Oh yeah, we have a group chat.
Okay.
We take it seriously. What's the buy-in in your league, Dan?
250 or 350.
Yeah, that's ours. 350.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm all about it. I'm doing terrible this year though. Apparently the CBS Sportsline thing, which grades your draft, and they gave me the D.
A D plus.
Right. Like the next day, I was like, this is ridiculous. I have one of the best drafts there is.
And you were roster baiting the entire weekend.
Oh,
like,
my God.
They don't know what they're talking about.
I still like looking at that roster. I just don't understand why it's...
Just, and then, why? I tell you, why doesn't God turn off injuries?
Yeah. Well, of course, my number one overall pick, the Justin Jefferson.
Oh, JJ.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
Jetta.
not my fault.
Jetta. Come back. Justin Jefferson tweeted today that he doesn't care about your fantasy team.
Saw that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's going to get back when he's ready.
Because I had him starting this week because I had two other receivers
probably be
on bye.
week 14.
Yeah.
After the bye.
Jake hates this.
No, it's great.
Anyway, other birthdays we have Troy Aikman, 57, and so hot.
I saw him last night. He looks great.
Oh.
Look at you.
Not in
hanging out with
person.
Troy. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're just
He was
watching
in
the
Kansas
game?
City.
Oh, I
That's
thought
right,
you were
he
up
was
there.
on the game. Brett Maher, 34. Out of work?
Yeah. Rams cut him.
Let's see if anybody.
Cooper Rush is 30.
The best.
Cooper Rush.
That's very inside.
Okay.
Jimmy Simpson is 48. He is Liam McPoyle. On Always Sunny. And we have some baseball birthdays, and we could even play some war games.
Ah, yes.
Now, the last place is going to be pretty easy, I think. But let me just tell you the baseball birthdays today. We have Hank Blaylock is 43.
Okay.
Believe Rancho Bernardo.
Yeah.
That's where he went
Jimmy?
to high school.
Yeah, aforementioned Jimmy Christopher.
13.5 WAR. Oh, wait. I ruined the
Why
game.
are you giving the number?
All right, dump that. Well, he's the last one. You would have known for sure.
Right.
Really? The All-Star Game MVP? Which I guess.
Well, what are the other names?
The game doesn't count.
Yes, the other names might indicate
Yes.
that you would have easily known that. Ken Griffey Jr. is 54.
Okay.
All right.
And born on this day, now they're dead. Stan Musial is he's dead. Like I said, he was born on this day. But the game will now come down to Ken Griffey Jr. against Stan Musial. Nickname for Stan Musial?
Stan the Man.
That's right, the Man. Very, very uncreative. As I grew up with. You get a little Dan the Man. Like if that's your name, that's what you're gonna get.
Give me Griffey here.
So we have Ken Griffey Jr., Stan Musial.
Give me Musial first.
Whoa.
Just because
Hotly debated.
Just because
we're embracing debate over here.
Just because Ted went Griffey, right?
He's taking the other side just for the show.
Yeah, sure.
They should make the A block.
Ken Griffey Jr.
This is so belabored. just read it.
We need,
what if
we
I
need
tell
music to draw this out?
Good God.
They both played 22 years.
Okay.
Boy, the plot thickens.
All right, yeah.
Griffey.
I gotta be somewhere.
Feel better about Musial.
83.8. Stan Musial. 128.
Wow.
Not even close.
Baseball Blake.
Wins again. Do not doubt.
America's shocked.
Home runs.
But we're really leading to the final birthday and the final note for today's show. This is especially for one of the people sitting here. See if we can guess who.
Okay.
because it's a birthday. He died in 1987, but he was born on this day in 1939. So what is that? That's 50. I don't know. That's he's almost
57.
50. Bud Dwyer.
Man.
No, Jake.
An innocent man.
You never could find the video?
No, I found. I mean,
Oh,
I
he's
don't
seen
think-
that video.
Oh, of course.
You thinking I hadn't seen the video?
I was there's one that has escaped you that you were not able to find.
It's not that one. I can
Okay.
promise you that. Yeah, we.
Oh, he's seen that video.
We had trouble maybe finding it like at the Campound or at one of our, streams or something. But yeah, everyone's seen that video.
So what's the story on Bud Dwyer?
He was a politician. I don't remember exactly what he was, but local politician, Northeast, and he was accused of like fraud, maybe skimming off the top a little bit. And he went into a press conference. I think he thought he was going to jail, and he went into a press conference with the media gathered there, and he stood at a lectern, if that's what you'd call it.
The days.
Yeah, and he pulled out like a manila envelope, and he's like, "Hey, if anyone in here is squeamish, I'm going to ask you to turn away." And he pulled out like a massive either snub-nosed revolver or like a .357 and put it in his mouth. And a second later, the back of the meeting room at this Pennsylvania state house or courthouse or something had his brains all over it.
Looked like Private Pile.
Yeah, and of course the media's rolling, I mean, they're there to cover a press conference of a allegedly corrupt politician. But I think there was I think in the documentary that came out, it's been a while since I've seen it. It came out a few years ago. I'm pretty sure he was innocent. But maybe he was pretty sure he was also about to have to do time. But hey, took it into his own hands.
That's what Bud Dwyer does.
Happy birthday.
Yes, and happy Thanksgiving and happy today in history, Ted.
I do miss the Vin Diesel music bed.
You miss what?
The The Vin Diesel at home music bed that you didn't like, Jake?
We can bring it back for you.
I think that was a bop.
Thanks, Ted. Where are you going to be appearing? Where can we watch you next?
Yeah, Dan, I do what they call the friends and family games on ESPN. Those are the only people watching, and that's okay. I've got UAB and North Texas in the season finale in Denton Saturday.
You get to see UNT one more time this year?
I do, but please don't clip that for social media, by the way.
You're safe.
We won't.
Thank you.
We'll keep it.
I dressed up for you guys too. I know there's a dress code in the
Yeah,
den.
I
So
dressed up
went-
too.
Yeah, I see that. But well done. You're not here watching film.
Yeah.
He didn't bring his whistle.
Yeah, I thought going button down was the play.
No, in fact, I wore the exact thing that Jake wore yesterday.
Oh, is that your new fit?
Yeah. So tomorrow I will wear long black sleeve and khakis.
The Henley with khakis.
Okay, you should not have said anything.
Right, you should have
kept
it
that going for
This would have been a
weeks.
masterful.
And we would have
every
had
time.
photos.
Oh, that's right. Photos every time you do video. Maybe match it up with that. Every week you do a video. See who
Blake's on
catches
fire
on.
right now. All right, bye, Ted.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Adios, mofo.